everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 103. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
Connor's here as well.
I mean, I was slightly more enthusiastic than usual. Well, not enthusiastic, just less insulting.
Well, that's because we know what you have to do today, so...
Well, you see, I put all my energy into Matt, and then I just sort of give you the leftovers.
Yeah, but sometimes you find the extra energy to make it insulting.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but
this was just, it's this there.
But what is more insulting, caring enough to insult you, or just not caring enough to even bother?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
We talk about DC
say
Comics.
that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So...
One day Matt will not interrupt, but I go back into the intro. He always has one more comment.
Hey, I don't know why you don't just wait a second for him to have his line.
Because I wait a pause. I give him a pause. He waits the extra second just to piss me off. This is the comic book podcast. We talk about DC Comics, and coming up on this week's show, we have some books to talk about. We have Justice League No Justice #1. We have Detective Comics 980, Wonder Woman 46, The Flash 46, New Superman, The Justice League of China #23, Hal Jordan, The Green Lantern Corps #44, Sideways #4. We were planning on doing The Immortal Men #2, but I know Matt probably didn't read it. It's an audio podcast, Matt. You have to say it out loud.
No, I mean, I read half of it, and then I didn't care, so I stopped.
Oh dear. I didn't read it because I looked at the preview on Comixology, and you get the first 3 pages before you buy it. You can have a look. I looked at those 3 pages and went, I don't really want to read this, and then didn't. Yeah. Connor, did you read The Immortal Men #2?
I fell asleep reading it last night.
That tells you all you need to know.
So, to be fair,
hold on. Before you go on, I need to finish my list. We're also talking about Batman White Knight #8. And then Connor is doing Connor's Corner all month because we got a bonus patronage for the month where he has to do 4 of them this month. So issue 18 is on that he's doing today. So you can look forward to that. And there's also some news. Alright, what was your thoughts?
Well, just on Immortal Men, that tells you all you need to know, that it's got like a great concept, but nothing sticks that makes you want to hang around. So... yeah.
To be fair, I don't know how bad it actually is because I was quite drunk after Arrow last night, and then I was reading it while in bed. So
yeah, it's not bad in the way where it's like, ugh, this is terrible. It's more just like, well, I have other things to read.
Well, hold on. I've got this is how it felt to me. This might be the most insulting thing I've ever said, but to me, it doesn't feel like it's the worst thing ever. It feels so early New 52.
Yep. It does. Like when they were trying to make you care about Task Force X or whatever that team was. That like
I feel like it's got a little bit more character to it than most of that stuff. Because you're talking about all those things that they're trying to make you care about, and I just don't. Whereas at least here, like they're trying. There's, okay, they've got some cool designs, they've got some cool powers. They've got something going for them beyond. Oh, here's a team.
It reminds me of all the Wildstorm like reject characters they try to give books at the start of the New 52. It feels like those to me, and I'm just not feeling it.
A couple of those were alright though.
Yeah, I don't stick around for it.
No, it does. It feels like Wildcats, where I don't know who these characters are, but like they might have cool like power sets, but I don't like. It feels very much of what I know of Wildcats, where there's 2 sides, and it goes deep down, and you're split onto one side or the other. So
it's a shame because I like Tynion, but it just I'm just not feeling this book. So
I did notice Jim Lee's just not on this issue at all.
Oh, we knew that. We knew that already.
Okay.
We've known that for months.
I know he didn't finish the first issue, did he? So I thought, well, maybe we did some on the second.
We knew that he was only on issue 1 after for a while, and that was the only one he was doing. Right. And then we got to the book coming out, and it was like, wait a minute, he didn't even finish this one. So jokes aplenty.
Yeah. So the team I was talking about that was like Task Force X and the New 52 was called Team 7, and that book was real bad.
That was the one with a Black Canary and a husband, right?
Yep.
And that was atrocious.
Wait, who is Black Canary's husband?
Some military agent dude.
Corporal Lance. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
And he got left behind on the first mission, and
then of course he reappeared 5 years later because
in my, during that time I was reading everything. So of course I read it all and owned all 8 issues.
I read it all too, Matt. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, but it made such an impact that I couldn't remember the name, so I just had to pull up the launch titles of New 52.
That launch title.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
For some reason, I thought that because I remember them referencing it a little bit later. Then I thought because for some reason I remember them.
Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not. It has it listed in September 2012.
Oh, so it was a Wave 2 book then.
Yeah,
that
sounds.
No, that's right, because they cancelled like 4 or 5 books after a year, and then launched like 5 books that immediately. It was obvious that the 5 they replaced it with were clearly going to be cancelled just as quick. Like,
but they were insistent on keeping the 52 for as long as they could.
They were. Fool's errand, quite frankly. Fool's errand. So we got some news this week. There was no big like announcements this week, but there's a lot of little things that kind of added up to some reasonable news. So we'll get into this stuff now. First up, kind of downbeat news here, because we're going to talk about prices and prices increasing. And what's funny is that we knew from the solicits in for July that Batman, after its anniversary issue, because all the anniversary issues are more expensive, but after the anniversary issue, issue 51 was $3.99. It was like, okay, so Batman seems to be switching. Is that going to be a new trend? We know Justice League is going to be double shipping at $3.99. And basically, a couple days ago, we got a news article confirming that The Flash and Wonder Woman, starting with issues 51 in July at the same time, even though they'd been solicited as $2.99, are going to be $3.99. That was like a big thing. It was like, okay, so they're going up to $3.99. A couple days later, because I thought, that's weird, it's just those two. I feel like they'd probably just do all of them. And sure enough, like a day later, oh, by the way, scratch that, all of the DC Universe books. Not the New Age of Heroes, not the some of the other things that are kind of separate, but all of the main DC Universe books going forward are going to be $3.99. And what was odd though in the wording, it said as of last week, but I think what they actually mean is that it's going to be issues. Given that what they announced for Flash and Wonder Woman, and that we know Batman 51 is supposed to be the start of its $3.99, I assume what they mean is that from issue 51 in July, and from that time, they're all going to be $3.99.
Well, yeah, unless we get to next week and they've all gone up.
Yeah, unless we get to next week and they've all went up, but I don't think so. I feel like
I hope not. That would be a kick in the teeth.
That'd be a little bit of a dick move. But
it's one thing to tell me 3 months in advance.
Yeah,
To go. Well, by the way, next week.
My Comixology still has my subscriptions all listed as the next prices, and they're all still matching what I expected them to be. So I don't think they've just sort of snuck in and said nah, because I think they can't change them because comic shops have already ordered them all, so they can't change them now.
No, that's true. They can change it before the final cut.
Yeah, so they've changed for end of July, but not for before then. I get quite annoyed this week watching the reactions to this. Because I felt
it's really easy to be reactionary and be really angry at it, because obviously your comics are going up in price. No one likes that.
Is this obviously we all like having cheaper books. No one's going to want more expensive books, right? That obviously we all like paying less for the books, right? Obviously, but here's the thing. I was seeing reactions saying, "Oh, screw you, DC! What are you doing? Oh, it's all just back to before Rebirth." And I'm like, look. First of all, you would think Marvel were charging $1.99 for their books, given how people are reacting to this. Like DC or the devil.
not $5 for a #1, which is
they
just
are.
3 months
DC
anyway.
as the last company. Out of any of the big ones, at least.
Yeah,
charging $2.99. Dark Horse, Image, Marvel.
Yeah, I saw a great tweet actually that even after this, DC still have more $2.99 books than Marvel, Dark Horse, Image, or IDW, which are all the biggies, and I'd include Boom in that.
Have more than all of them put together still.
Yeah, probably. $3.99 is the normal price now. DC held out as long as they could. So, while it sucks, like I just don't see the reason to be angry at this. It feels like this was always going to happen.
It's disappointing because, like I say, you were like, $2.99. That's much nicer, right? But I mean, everyone else is at $3.99. You've been paying if assuming you read anything else as well as DC. You've been paying $3.99. Yeah,
the reactions I've been seeing this just feels so overblown. I'm like, it sucks. You may have to cut a book or two off your pull list. I get that sucks. It does, but
I will say the part of this news I am genuinely disappointed in is that they're cutting the digital codes that came with those.
Yeah, books. Digital codes are gone, except it seems from issue 1s and major like landmark
special issues. Like it'll be like annuals and things like that.
Annuals, maybe like the 50s, big anniversary
75s,
issues. Push, yeah.
I think it's kind of a dick move because Marvel did this the exact same thing where their books were all $3.99. They cut the digital code, and they got a lot of shit for it, and they put them back in within 2 or 3 months.
I mean, it's
but they also did this crappy thing where they were giving random issues out.
They also did that. That's true.
They did do that, but at least they were offering something there. DC have gone, hey, here's digital codes. Oh, never mind, here's nothing. That's arguably worse.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, digital codes are cool, but if you're buying physical, that's probably most of your collection anyways.
I think it's less of a hit here because the majority of the books didn't have them anyway. So it's only been taken from the single shippers. All the double shippers didn't have digital codes before.
No.
So it's less of a hit in that sense. I agree. I mean, I agree. It does kind of suck. But at least from a personal point of view, someone who just buys all my books digitally anyway, I mean, it has no bearing on me at all.
Obviously, it hadn't affected me with the DC ones because it's only been going for 6-8 months, whatever it's been, maybe a year.
Yeah, it's been longer than that.
It's only on certain books.
Because they started it about a year after Rebirth started, so it's been about a year, I think.
Right. But, with the Marvel ones, I use that thing because I was buying, the Star Wars books consistently.
Yeah.
That code was really great because I'd either, I'd give it to, friends, family, or, there's a whole community online, especially on Reddit, where people will give you the $1 for the code. So they get the book and, you offset your price a little bit. So it's like you're paying the $2.99 book. And for me personally, both those things made a big difference to me in my buying habits. So it does have an impact on a lot of people.
I've already started clearing stuff to make room for the Justice League books coming out this summer. And with certain books that are going away, and with Action not double shipping, and Superman not double shipping.
Nightwing not double shipping.
What's that?
Nightwing's also switched to single.
Yeah, Nightwing. Green Arrow's already stopped, so there might be a book that I'll talk about that I'm dropping sooner rather than later. So the only book that really impacts anymore.
What a tease.
Yeah. There's only really one book going forward that this is which is something I would never drop anyways. So it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if we get the August solicits and a few of the doubles have switched to single. It really wouldn't surprise me. I'm kind of expecting it. There's some that
especially once they've hit 50.
It's saving money. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if they hit 50, because all the 50s have a second issue in July, but it wouldn't surprise me that come August, some of them switch to single. I wouldn't expect it for Batman, because Batman sells so goddamn much. It's over 100k an issue, even the double shipping.
You don't want to mess with King. If King has it plotted out, let's say through 100, and through double shipping, then he can pull it off still.
I think it's also worth noting they're contracted for a certain amount of time. Yeah. So it's like, well, we can contract, he can pump out this many issues.
And even on top of that, with Justice League launching at $3.99 at double shipping, that's precedent to say they're willing to do it with some books. Maybe not as many, but they're still willing to do it with some books.
Yeah, if it's 3 or 4 books that are double shipping at that price point, that's okay.
Yeah.
So that's what Marvel's already doing that a while ago.
Yeah, Marvel's a lot more hit and miss. It's like they'll double ship for 1 month and then single ship. So you'll get 3 issues every 2 months.
Yeah, it's not even random though. If you actually look at how they're ordering these books, they've actually been saying, "Oh, this book's 18 issues a year." It's planned that way from the start. That it's 2 on 1, 2 1, 2 1, 2 1, so on.
Which I think is a reasonable schedule, to be fair.
It's not bad. DC's not really done anything like that in a long time, I don't think. At least not intentionally. Maybe with some delays here or there, they've kind of stumbled into that with a couple of books. But
I wouldn't mind it if it meant. Maybe that's enough for an artist to stay on top of it a bit more, rather than 4 issues in 2 months. 3.
I can definitely see the Green Lantern books going single, especially if those crazy rumours about Grant Morrison become true. I can't see him doing double shipping.
And also we know Liam Sharp can do a monthly book because he was on Wonder Woman consistently as a monthly artist, and he's been doing Brave and the Bold. So. If we can have him as the solo artist as a monthly and just keep it as that, I'm all for it.
The ones I'm expecting not to change, if I was to place, I mean, I may be wrong on these, but if I was placing bets, I'd say Batman and Tech will stay double. I'm saying Flash will stay double.
If we get the second Flash book, that might go down to single.
It might. I still don't think it will though, because Flash sells better than almost all the other books.
At that point, it might as well be double, right? Because now you're getting 2 Flash books for the same price.
Well, yeah, but I'm just thinking in the same way that. I can see them treating it in the same way that they are with Superman.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that though is because Williamson has said, like King, he wants to do 100 issues, right? Which lasts a lot longer if they're going to switch to single shipping. And then on top of that, it sells better than most of the other DC books. Flash is up there. Flash sells better than Superman books.
Yeah. He's the I consider him the fourth pillar and not Harley anymore.
Oh, I do, absolutely. Yeah, Flash is number 4.
I had a discussion with my friend last night that her younger brother, who doesn't read comics but watches the show, watched Justice League earlier this week and was like, "No, this Flash is wrong." So the fact there's a guy out there that's not that familiar, but just knows what he likes.
To be fair, when they talk about Harley being the fourth pillar, that's more about how much she sells for them, and she sells a lot of merch. She sells way more merch than probably some of the other main 3 do at this point.
That's it, though. I work at a middle school, and I see a ton of Flash shirts nowadays.
Oh, I'm
too.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe not as much as Harley, but when you look at that Mount Rushmore kind of Silver Agey characters.
Oh yeah, and Green Lantern's absolutely fifth, and I think in our eyes is
I think in terms of when I'm looking at them in a story and in the DC universe, definitely. But just in terms of marketing and as a business, I understand why they refer to Harley Quinn as the fourth pillar. Yeah,
it makes sense in that sense. But so basically, books are up to $3.99. It does kind of suck a little bit, but I mean, I don't think there's anything that I'm getting that I'm going to cut because of it. If I cut something, it'll be for quality reasons and because I was not feeling it anyway.
Quality and time are reasons that I cut.
Let's just say those 3 that you were saying stay $3.99 and double.
Yeah.
So that's what, an extra
$150,
$6 a month,
or $6.50. Yeah, I was thinking of one issue each, but yeah, $6.
Yeah.
$3.
So that's not that bad.
Yeah, because I was looking at it as well. New Superman's coming to an end, so that's saving me a few bucks.
Supergirl's already,
obviously,
already gone.
Superman in Action going to single obviously helps out a lot. Nightwing going to single. I'm expecting a few more to go to single. So I'm okay. And honestly, if they keep up the quality, because we've been typically happy, but on the whole, obviously you have your odd week issue here or there, but on the whole, we're quite happy with the direction of the DCU right now. So I'm not.
It's true. We've got another book that is likely coming to an end. I'm sure you've got this in the news.
Yeah, there's another one there. So.
I will say though, on top of this, I like that they're keeping the New Age books at $2.99. I think it's a good way of promoting these things. Even though I'm not into all of them, I think it's a great way of promoting the smaller ones and giving people a reason to go. Why would they pick that over something else? Yeah,
and of the 3 that I quite like, I would pay $3.99 for Terrifics, no doubt. But for Sideways and Silencer, I think that's perfect to keep it $2.99 because I think they're right in that range for me.
But I feel that's going to weed them out. So even if they leave those at $2.99 and people aren't reading Damage, I think they can justify getting rid of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It helps that decision.
Absolutely. So, well, I agree it sucks, and if you have to cut a book or two to make up for the fact that all your books are going up slightly, obviously, sympathies. Obviously it sucks, but I do think some of the reactions to DC being the devil for doing this are completely overblown. When they're the last company to do it.
Like I say, I assume the people who are actually making these statements don't read comics because they can't be buying comics from any other company.
Or maybe they just read DC. I'm only buying DC right now.
Maybe, but the people who even then they'll go on Comixology and see the price of the companies.
Well, I should clarify.
I'm
only buying DC in singles. I should clarify that. I buy a lot of trades from everywhere else.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing. I have a couple here and there from Image and whatever that I get, but those aren't my regular books. I always treat those like a treat because I'm so dialed into DC.
Oh yeah,
right. But my point is, anyone who's even regularly reading DC, they're going to the Comixology storefront, they're going into their comic shop, they're seeing the other comics, they're seeing the prices of every other company just in front of them. You can't just hide them away and go, this is the DC section, that's all I'm going to look at, unless you just buy through the DC website, I guess.
Yeah, which does baffle me to an extent, because people that I'm seeing complain are people who clearly are reading a lot of books from multiple publishers, but they're still demonizing DC for doing this. And I'm like,
but then you have to make a decision. That's on you. That means you're reading too much. If you're complaining, it's $2, right? $2 can be a lot of money, but at the same time, if you're reading that many books, I can't imagine them making that much of an impact on you. I reread a lot of DC, and sometimes I can't remember what happens between books. Because I have so much swirling in my head, but. Some people just like to complain. I don't know.
I don't know. Obviously it does suck, but like I say, I don't think it's that big of a demonic thing. It was always going to happen. They lasted 2 years on the double shipping without putting them up. I'm quite happy with that. Because when they announced the $2.99 price for everything that started Rebirth, I said, okay, that's not going to last. That is a goodwill gesture for as long as they can do it. And they,
oh yeah, it's at that point, Marvel were definitely at $3.99. Image were 50-50.
Because even Walking Dead, which is black and white, has been up to $3.99 now.
Yeah.
So
everything.
It's the price of it's the price of doing business anymore, and that's fine. And if you were one of our listeners or viewers, and you don't know what if you have to drop a book, just hit us up on Twitter and we can help you out.
We'll tell you which one to drop.
Well, yeah, because that's how I always ask my comic book guy. I was like, hey, out of these books, if I can only get one, what would you recommend? And he's always good to help me. Like that's what talked me into dropping Lobdell's Superman. Because he's like, you come in here every month and you complain. Why do you do this to yourself?
He's just sick of hearing it, Matt. He's just sick of hearing you talk about it. That's all that is.
Yeah.
No,
like, just get rid of it.
That's the job of a proper comic book shop owner. Who they're not there just trying to sell you every book possible.
Which is worth mentioning. He's losing money by not selling that book, and he's still telling you to shut up and stop buying it.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and he's also the guy that opened me to Josh Williamson when Birthright came out. He goes, hey, here's a book. You're probably really going to enjoy it, so take it for free. He gave me the first issue completely free.
Well, there you go.
Knowing that now I'm on whatever issue they're on, I'm on, and I bought them the trades.
20 something or other.
Yeah, so, But yeah, so if you guys are having any issues, I can tell you what I'm going to drop after we review these issues, So...
I'm not even sure what Matt's talking about. Well, actually, no. Well, there's the obvious one, but, I mean...
From this, just from this week that you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's the obvious one. He's been talking about dropping it for like a month.
Yeah.
I assume I already dropped it then.
Yes,
I'm
you
looking
did.
at my books and I'm like, okay.
He's not dropping the other ones. I'm looking at the rest of the list and I'm going like, nah, they're all good. What? He's been mad to drop any of those.
I mean, it does help as well. We told him all this. White Knight is its final issue is this week. So
that's true. Yeah, that's something else that's done.
More on that later.
Yes, we'll be talking about that. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So that's the first bit of news then. to move on after 20 minutes. I just wanted to mention and acknowledge the new Justice League logo, which is accompanying the new series, and it looks pretty nice.
It's very much the animated series vibes.
I like it. It's got the Wonder Woman stars on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, as with any of these logos, it changes colour depending on the cover it's on. There's a variant by Jock for Justice League 1 that is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Give me one moment. I was unawares.
I put it in the thread, Matt. Come on.
But that thread goes throughout, so
it does. Yeah.
I'll put my phone down for work for 5 hours and pick it back up, and there's been like flipping 25 comments.
That is fair.
Because Connor missed a thing that got brought up.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, oh no.
Connor missed all the big,
yesterday.
all the hysteria. All the hysteria we went through. Well, more on that in a bit. Yeah. But all the hysteria, and Connor missed the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, also, to stick with Justice League for a bit, there were some interviews this week. They also revealed the cover of issue 5, which reveals the lineup of the Injustice League, or the Legion of Doom, they're calling them, sorry, I was slipping into animated series there, sorry. I
just, as a wrestling fan, I hear Legion of Doom and automatically think of...
Hawk and Animal. The Road Warriors, yeah.
And the Doomsday Device,
yeah,
move.
More like the Murder Device, that goddamn move. Anyway, so here's the lineup on this cover for issue 5. This is the Legion of Doom. We have Gorilla Grodd, we have Cheetah, we have Black Manta, we have Joker, we have Lex Luthor, and we have Sinestro. Basically, it's all the ones who have a proper arch nemesis. Here's their arch nemesis.
but it's also the Super Friends version.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
So is the Jock cover the red one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy. That is great looking.
Yeah. And to go back to your whole thing where Flash is the fourth pillar, look who's on that cover.
Yeah.
There's 4 people on that cover, and the Flash is the 4th one.
Exactly.
The other 3 should be obvious.
Yeah. Trinity and Barry, but yeah, no, I'm so excited because so this is gonna be like the 4. So there's gonna be 4 issues, and then the 5th issue is the
Legion of Doom issue. Yeah.
Yeah, Legion of Doom. Yeah.
So Tynion's co-writing that one, I think. I think Tynion's co-writing the Legion of Doom issues.
And that's fine by me. He works with Snyder so well. Like,
yeah, they've got a great working relationship.
Yeah, it looks great. Of course, Chung's artwork's great. So there's a couple of images of these characters from this series.
Snyder was talking about his run in general quite a bit this week.
Yeah, there's a couple of big things revealed. I've got two key talking points to bring up. Actually, there are three key talking points. So here's the first one. There are portals in the Hall of Justice, and each one leads to a different team. So they've got like portals back. So one will lead to the Dark, one will lead to the Odyssey.
Yeah, we heard that way back at that original announcement, I think.
But there's a portal that leads to a new team, or a fourth team that's been teased but not announced yet. My first thought's the Outsiders, because we know we're setting that up in Detective.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's...
My problem is I don't feel like they're big enough.
You may be right. You may be right.
See, someone also threw out Justice Society. I was like, no, they have the Brownstone in New York. Stop it.
Yeah, it's not going to be the JSA until
too early.
That's all done with Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, but who knows when we'll see this fourth team too? He said there'll be a fourth team to be announced, and it could be. Why not? They all want to.
I feel like it's going to be sooner than the end of Doomsday Clock though, because he's teasing it just now. So
yeah. But I thought Outsiders as well, and then someone had thrown out Justice Society.
Because I'm assuming he's not including Titans, because we know about the Titans being involved.
Titans.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like with the Outsiders, we all know it's coming and that it's being teased, but I don't know if it's like big enough to be in with all the Justice League teams. Is my thing. So I don't know if they're just talking about something else entirely here.
But I feel like each of the main guys has their kind of a like Wonder Woman has Dark now, right?
Yeah.
You know, then Odyssey has the spacefaring heroes.
Yeah, Cyborg's leading that team.
Yeah, so you could have Batman leading the Outsiders. I think it would be fine.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. Unless it's just something completely new, and it could be. Like, you know.
What if it's a new version of the Suicide Squad?
Oh, God,
just hanging out.
Shut up. No, I feel like, I don't know, maybe they'll have like a new team of characters or something. Like some team we've not had before. Like,
yeah, he said like in the first issue you'll see Vixen. She pops in to use the med bay or whatever.
What if it's an all lady team? What if they have like a new team that's just all ladies with like Vixen and
Black
Supergirl,
Canary.
Black Canary?
I'm trying to think of that team that the leftovers of Justice League of America, like the characters I like there forming a team. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah. So
you know?
I don't know, maybe it's something new like that. Maybe it's the Outsiders. I don't know, but he's teasing it because he loves to tease things. Cause that's what he does.
He does. He can't help himself.
Yes, he does. He's an excitable child, which, as someone who's been called an excitable child from time to time, I find endearing. But sometimes I also like to be surprised by things.
I do love it because even if I'm disappointed by the book, I can't help but like appreciate his passion for his work at all times.
Oh yeah,
I am feeling like this is Infinite Crisis era DC,
because even
there's all this stuff going on and it's all interconnected.
Yeah, because I was just to sort of agree with Connor there. Even when it was at the end of his Batman run, and even when it was All Star Batman, and I really didn't like that stuff. Whenever he talked about it, it was hard not to at least appreciate his enthusiasm for the shit he was doing.
Right. Even if you don't enjoy it, he is clearly into it. It never feels like he's doing it for the paycheck.
Yeah, it's how I feel. It's actually how I feel, and this is maybe controversial to some. If Tim was here, he'd punch me. But it's how I kind of feel about Guillermo del Toro. I love his enthusiasm. I like him. Whenever he's talking, I think he's great. But I just don't love most of his movies.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I'm with Pete on that one. Like, I want to be his friend, and I want to tell him like, oh yeah, man, good job on your movie. I just like, kind of wasn't for me, but like, good job. Like, I appreciate the art there.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the two other big talking points that were revealed this week. And I was joking after this because it kind of adds something new to the Flash mythos. It adds something new to the Green Lantern mythos. And then I was thinking, okay, so what are all the other characters going to get? Like, is Wonder Woman going to get like a flaming lasso at some point? Or like, what's happening? So here's the two things. First up,
as long as it's not a secret triplet, I'm fine.
Oh God, yeah. So the first thing was a new thing for the Flash, and this is something that's going to be introduced in Justice League, but they did mention, and this makes sense given that Williamson is so ingrained as part of the League team. You know, he's part of that trio that are doing all the League books. It makes sense that he would also use this in the Flash book as well, which he's still going to be writing. And this is a new force. This is the Still Force. And it's basically the opposite of the Speed Force, and it comes from entropy. So obviously, all these things that came out of the wall breaking, entropy is going to force this Still Force. And he even mentions in this interview, Scott Snyder was saying that Gorilla Grodd might have a leg up when it comes to figuring out how to control this. And I'll tell you what I like about this. I think the name's a little bit silly right now. It might grow on me. But what I like about this is the idea that there's an opposing, like not the negative Speed Force, but there's an opposing force to the Speed Force that can slow him down. It makes it's like a natural opposition to the Flash in a lot of ways. I kind of like that.
It's called the Justice League, right? And the symbol for justice is the scales, and for everything there's an opposite. There's an opposing force, like Newtonian physics. So with this and the Green Lantern thing, that's going to be introduced.
You're getting to that.
Yeah. But they're both opposing forces.
They are.
And I feel that's going to be the overarching theme of Snyder's run, because then you introduce the Legion of Doom as well, which is the opposing force of the Justice League. So
I kind of love the idea of. I know that they mentioned, Grodd maybe tapping into it, but I love the idea of, like, Captain Cold, because that's how his thing's like, right, let's slow him down with the cold.
Yeah.
But it's like, can he try and manipulate this somehow and play with it that way?
Yeah, I love the idea of villains trying to use it, because now they have, like, a power that they might be able to tap into that can actually... Because it's like, okay, maybe they'll come up with some fun plans to beat the Flash on occasion, but he's so fast that he's hard to topple. They really have to outthink him. But the idea that they have something that can just slow him down, and it'll just work because it's actually like a force of nature. Like, that's actually really cool. So I'm into it. I think they could have maybe come up with a better name than Still Force.
I agree, not the best, but yeah.
No,
whatever.
but Speed and Still. I mean, you don't want to call it the Slow Force, or the Decay Force.
I think the problem is that there's not much that you can go with, because the problem, negative Speed Force is probably the least stupid sounding one.
And that's still kind of...
I've already used it as well. So.
Exactly, that's already been used for something else. So it's like, okay.
I don't know, maybe the Static Force or something, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's when you just walk around and touch a doorknob and it sucks.
Connor does that every day anyway.
It happens.
Yesterday.
The worst happens... somehow it happens to me at grocery stores where there's no carpet, it's tile, and I'll go to open like the freezer to grab eggs or something, and it gets me. Oh, I get so angry.
So we teased the Green Lantern thing though as well. So it's actually coming early enough. This is issue 3. The cover for this is out, so we can see what it looks like. John Stewart is going to get a new power ring. I presume this is temporary, but he's going to become...
I think we talked about this in general a couple of weeks ago.
Maybe when the solicit came out, because it's issue 3 from July. But they're talking about the Ultraviolet Lantern. Which is what he's going to become. Ultraviolet, of course, being the invisible light, if you will. So I guess what Matt means when he's talking about it being the opposite, the opposing force again. Yeah. Because that's the thing with darkness. Darkness actually isn't a thing. Darkness is just the absence of light. So even though it's the opposite, it's not an actual thing that's doing something. Whereas,
well, no, and that's why Blackest Night it worked out that way, because black was the absence of life. Yeah. Right. That's So here you have the invisible spectrum, which opens it up also to like infrared and all these other different forms of light and how.
Oh my god! I just thought of an insane crossover with Predator, where he's the infrared lantern.
Yeah, right.
It's all right. We're definitely getting a Bluetooth lantern.
You better be dressed like a Viking though, like.
Oh, I would love that. Just a Viking planet.
Yeah. Yo. No, let's cut that out, Pete. That's gonna be me and Connor. That's okay.
What else could you do? Like X-ray lantern or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, just all these different forms of light, which is kind of cool, because I appreciate what Johns did by opening up the spectrum with the Roy G. Biv, like split light. But this is actual different bands and wavelengths, so they don't necessarily have to be the same thing, which I like.
I like that it's the same concept, it's just the next step, essentially. It's like, okay, well, you've opened it up. Well, we're just going to take it one step further. And I don't think anyone else has done that. Everyone played with the new colours for so long, and it was like, okay, we're bored of just seeing all these colours. And I think, I was skeptical about introducing new things to this. So like, how much more do we need? But I think this is quite an interesting, like, logical extension, at least, rather than just, oh, here's a new concept.
Well, yeah, and it fits in. Once I saw this Still Force, and we already knew about the Legion of Doom, it makes sense for that overarch of balance, right? Yeah. So, and Snyder does play the long game, so I'm sure this is all going forward to whatever his end plan is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he's got a 2-year plan. It's all mapped out, and everyone's excited about it. So
there was another thing that he was talking about that I don't think you've got here.
Oh, go on then.
He was talking about his second arc is going to be an Aquaman arc.
Oh yeah, that's yours.
Oh snap!
Yeah, and I think the reason that's notable is that Aquaman's kind of missing in No Justice, and people were questioning what's going on.
Even though Black Manta's there.
Right, and people were questioning,
So we know.
is Aquaman still around? Like, what's happening with that? But no, he's confirmed that they will be doing it. They will be doing the second half. There are rumors that it's finally going to be the John's tease,
Oh, that's cool.
Seas thing.
Yeah, and he also,
kind of...
if you remember, he also teased, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, that he was teasing that the second arc might even have tie-ins. At the very least, I imagine Aquaman might tie into it, because, duh.
Especially if we've got a new team on it.
Especially if we've got a new team on it, because we might do by then, yeah.
Oh, he is there.
So,
Yeah.
what are you looking at, Matt? You're looking all...
No, I was looking at I forgot if Aquaman was there or not on the cover, and he is. He's in the corner, but I got so taken by, Hot Girl and whatnot on that cover.
I think people were asking, even though we knew he's in the team, we've seen him in the Justice League promo stuff, he's just conspicuously absent in No Justice, and people were like, what's going on with him?
I'm sure we'll get reasons. He'll be on Team Earth, protecting the Earth when we get some of that stuff.
Yeah, with Supergirl and Green Arrow.
Yeah, exactly. Someone has to protect the oceans. Her arm's useless, so let's not use arm.
I mean, he's not that useless. He's just conflicted.
I wasn't sure how much Matt was going to defend him there. I thought I'll say this and see if it's a. I don't know if it's a bombshell or if it's just like a mild like.
No, I like Orm. He's He's
such a Matt character. Let's be honest. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes, that's right.
So anyway, so next up, so that was the Justice League stuff that I had that I wanted to bring up. So that was some stuff that was dropped this week. Couple of quick things. Mitch Gerads announced on Twitter that he's renewed his exclusive DC contract. Good news.
Yeah, I think he said it was like the easiest decision he's ever made as well.
Yeah.
To that effect, at least.
So that's cool. Young Animal is officially ending. All of its titles are going to end in August with their issue 6. They claim that was always planned. I'm not sure I believe that, but they're ending in issue 6.
I don't know if it was always going to be then, but they did always refer to it as a pop-up imprint.
Oh, they did. They absolutely did.
So which implies, okay, it's a temporary thing, right?
But only one of the books was ever listed as a 6-issue miniseries. That was Eternity Girl. All the rest were all listed as ongoings, and now all of a sudden they're ending at issue 6. So
they have said Doom Patrol is going to continue at some point.
They have, yeah. Doom Patrol is coming back at some point, but the Young Animal as an imprint is finishing.
I feel like they could probably fold it into one of the other DC imprints.
Yeah, Vertigo seems like a good place for it.
Yeah, I think this is the case. Obviously this was Gerard Way's kind of own little thing.
Yeah.
And it's clearly, I think he's the one that got too busy, which is why Doom Patrol hit the delays.
A lot of delays.
It makes me wonder if he's, dipping his toe back into music after doing, So that's always been his thing. Because when My Chemical Romance was on break the first time, that's when his, what was his first book?
Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, that's when that really hit. And then, so it makes me wonder if he's doing this alternating.
Now becoming a major television series.
Oh, yeah.
Netflix, right?
Yeah, Netflix, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting here because, he was supposed to, he's kind of like the group editor, the curator of the line. Mm-hmm. I think this is telling me he's just too busy right now with whatever it is that's come up, and he just can't continue it.
But he's coming back to Doom Patrol at some point, so he's obviously wanting to continue it. He's just, So, I mean, obviously, if you were a fan of those books, honestly, what interests me about this is, and this is a bit selfish, but I'm looking at that going, oh, Mother Panic's ending, that means Jodie Houser's free for something if DC might put her on something else.
She does co-write a lot of books, though, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we know that Wonder Woman's getting a new team after Orlando's arc, and I wouldn't mind Jodie Houser being the one to write it.
I'm all for it.
Batgirl, too. Batgirl's going to have an opening.
Well, no, we know that Marehead Scott's going to be on the book for an arc, at least.
Yeah, for an arc. Yeah, but after that...
Oh, sure. It might just be an arc. You might be right. Or something else that could be teased in this week's Detective Comics that I'm going to rant and rave about when we get there.
Of course you are.
You can look forward to that. That's coming up later in the show. Next up, speaking of Bat characters, this is the closing of an opening because Batwoman is probably ending with issue 18 in August. It's the trade sort of information, not as solicit per se because it's not been solicited yet, but sometimes Amazon gets the details early, and it happens to mention it's a stunning conclusion in the trades, which ends with issue 18. So it's looking like that's going to be the end of the book, and it makes a lot of sense. It's not selling particularly well. It feels kind of right that that's going to be when it ends. So.
To quote a Purple Mad Titan, this is a mercy.
You've really went down in this book, haven't you, Matt?
I have.
I have recently as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm not loving it as much as I was, but I mean, I wouldn't be that mean to it.
There's a logical ending, so let's say even if they, relaunch it after this, then I can know that I read this full arc and
Oh, sure,
and
yeah.
we're good, you know. But
if they did relaunch it, I feel like it'd be with different teams afterwards anyway, so it would be a new chance to try it again with
it's
new
just
people.
as soon as Tynion left, that's where I felt like the steam kind of started going, and I was
don't
really
know
digging
if
what
it
he
was
doing.
Tynion. I think it was the lack of Epting.
Yeah, Epting was why I loved that first arc so much, and because the writing was solid, but it was Epting that really made it shine. And I feel like the plot with the Sophia and the island, and then the ultimate reveal of who's behind it all recently, it's kind of gotten less and less interesting as it's went on.
It feels like it lost its direction. It had a unique style and tone at the start, and it's like it wanted to be this this spy thriller essentially.
Yeah.
With this big caped adventure, and then it's just kind of like, okay, we're doing Batwoman stuff.
You decide you're gonna make a big bowl of mac and cheese, and you're like, I'm gonna eat this whole bowl, and then you get halfway through, you're kind of like, all right, well, maybe I didn't need this much mac and cheese, but
sometimes,
I'm
Matt,
stuck with it now.
Your metaphors sometimes baffle me. I mean, I just, oh jeez. Anyway,
That's how I felt about the
Next up.
Sophia stuff. Like, this is real cool. This is a good idea. Maybe I made too much though.
Alright, next up, we got another creator teasing something on the Twitters. Actually, just that reminds me, I didn't put this in, but I just want to mention that Chris Wilgus is still posting little teases of art from his unannounced mystery DC book. So,
I'm excited.
Worth
I
mentioning
like his
that.
work.
I do like his work. The new panel I posted looked good. He's got really good fingers. He does good fingers. That's a weird thing to
I know
say.
what you mean,
but
because I think some people really struggle with the hands and just try and hide them, and they just do closed fists all the time.
Yeah, no, it was because the panel he put out this week, it was a female character, and her fingers, they're very stylized, but they look good. Like, they look like, oh yeah, that's some quality finger work. Anyway, moving on. So, Percy was teasing something.
It's a Prometheus 2 joke in there, but I'm not going to do it.
So Benjamin Percy on Twitter, of course, he's currently working on Nightwing. He just started his Nightwing run. We loved his Green Arrow run that just ended a few months ago.
Yeah.
So he said the following. I'm just going to quote the tweet. Massively excited that I'll be taking over blank. You're going to put a space in, sort of indicating, and then it says a year from now. And I have such a luxurious amount of time to patiently study its backlist and plan for the future, the most brain-melting, heart-detonating story possible. Now, it doesn't necessarily, like, this is not 100% that this has to be a DC book necessarily, but I think it's a fairly likely possibility.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what would be heartbreaking and brain-melting.
Do you know what the cynic in me is?
Oh God!
It is, so we're talking about how we got Grant Morrison on Green Lantern, right?
Yeah.
The cynic in me is like, yeah, he'll only stick around for a year.
Oh, so you think he's
hitting?
You think he's hitting that he's going to be on Green Lantern after Morrison leaves?
Maybe.
I think it'd be cool.
I think we have to.
What he did with Hal.
That's assuming what the Morrison thing even pans out is true.
Right. But it's the sort of thing that I can see lining up in my mind.
I don't know why you're jumping to that one specifically, though, because there's a lot of other runs that feel like they could have a year left in them, but maybe the creators know their ending, their story around then.
It's true. It's true. That one, it was just like that one was with that show. You know how if it is true, we were saying it kind of feels too good to be true. I'm like, okay, they've got him for a year.
I would agree, though. I would agree that whatever this is, it's different because obviously Nightwing is still like a sort of street vigilante hero. I do think the way he's phrasing that makes me think this is a completely different corner of the universe.
Yeah.
This is either a superpowered individual. I don't think Williamson's going to be done with Flash in a year, but maybe he will be. Maybe around 75 is when he'll call it quits. Maybe he's got his story mapped out, and that's when he'll end.
It's definitely not Bendis with Superman, because he's at that in a...
Yeah, Superman will still be with Bendis in a year. Absolutely.
Yeah, no chance they've only got him on it for a year of 12 issues each.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Wonder Woman, right? They could open up in a year. Who knows who's taking over after Orlando? Again,
that's assuming whoever the new person is only going to be there for a year, which they might be. I'm not saying that's obviously it can happen, but
if that's double shipping, a year is still a reasonable run.
That's true. Yeah. Same as Rucka. He was a year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards something that has a current team on it already that's going to leave in a year, but that's just a gut feeling more than anything else. I don't really have anything to back it up.
I think he's never really done a team book. I'm trying to think of the teams that.
Other than Teen Titans that he just finished on.
I mean, a year, we could. This could be something entirely new that happens to be spinning out of some event.
Oh sure, yeah. I mean, for all we know, this is like Legion spinning out of Doomsday Clock, and that's why it's a year from now.
Right, exactly.
Don't do that.
Don't do what?
But he's right. It could be Legion. This could be JSA. This could be one of those things where it's like,
hey,
oh,
Matt,
he's taking over these, but no one's on it at the minute.
Yeah.
Taking over doesn't mean that someone has to be
Oh,
on
that's
it.
true, that's true. I mean, it sounds more like it's taking over something from someone else, but you're right, it could mean that. And to be fair, Matt, the timeline lines up to when Doomsday Clock will roughly be ending.
I'm not saying I don't want it. I'm saying I want it right now, and I don't want to wait a year.
Oh, sure.
Like,
Because that actually worked out. If it keeps its current schedule, Doomsday Clock issue 9 will be November. That'll be the last one of the year, so there'll be 3 issues left for next year,
yeah.
which will take us up to May.
Mid next year.
Yeah, so that's about a year. I mean, that makes sense.
Does line
Percy
up.
with time travel in the future with all his tech. Like, he's got a thing for tech, as we've learned through.
What did he call it? Mind bending.
He said it is the, he's going to read the backlist for a year and plan for the future, the most brain melting, heart detonating story possible.
Mm.
So he's excited about it.
When he says plan for the future, that's a Legion piece.
It doesn't mean
also brain melting. You got Brainiac. Trying to think of the heart detonating. What was detonating?
All right, you guys are getting proper conspiracy theory trying to deconstruct
I was going to say
this tweet.
this is the definition of, if you've been watching Legion, the throwing out everything that doesn't work to make a conspiracy.
Oh yeah.
This is that.
We're talking Legion superheroes, not Legion on FX. But you guys are not talking Legion on FX and not Legion superheroes. For those following at home, just so.
Alright, so that was all the actual news, but I suppose we do have to talk about the hysteria that erupted for a day. And part of me didn't even want to bring this up, but given that it got an official response from a few creators, Jim Lee specifically, I feel the need to mention it.
Asinine that this has to be brought
up. I know. So, a website that is notorious for spreading rumours and misinformation. Now, admittedly, here's the annoying thing about Bleeding Cool, is that quite often they do get things right. Because they do get sources, they do get things, and it turns out to be true. It does happen. Which is why you can't just discredit them all the time.
Often, it's more like, 50-50. It's just that
but
they shout about the successes.
Oh yeah, 50-50's...
broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, 50-50 is more than twice a day, Matt.
Well, no, because if it's... The clock, it's 12, right? It's 24 hours. So it'd be right twice, that's 50-50.
No, it's right twice out of 24. There's 24 hours in a day, it's only right 2 of those hours.
And that's discounting all the individual minutes.
Exactly.
Okay, well, either way, they're broken clock, because I don't like them, so it's fine.
I'm sorry, Matt, but I have to shut that down.
I'm gonna let these guys go because, as we know, I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve, and I tend to rage easy, and this type of stuff makes me rage.
It makes me angry too.
So anyway,
you're better at containing it.
So the big thing with Bleeding Kill as well is that they love to pat themselves on the back whenever they write something. They're writing, their journalism is usually awful. But anyway, so here's the thing: they broke this week that according to sources, that DC's next event, and it sounded like it was later this year from the way they were phrasing it, is going to be called simply Crisis. And that, so far, pretty believable. I mean, I don't know if I expect a crisis before the end of Doomsday Clock and during this No Justice stuff, but, you know what, it's still...
And to be fair, Metal was a crisis in all but name.
Sure, but the idea that DC's going to have an event soon called Crisis, that sounds perfectly reasonable, right? That's DC Comics.
It's DC.
Well, right? That's what they do.
But
since 1985 at least.
However, I honestly feel that this was nothing but fear-mongering clickbait, because the headline was really focused on the idea that it's a full-on reboot and it will erase both the Superman-Lois marriage and the Batman-Catwoman marriage. And now I immediately
particularly asinine about that.
Quote Connor.
Yeah.
Maybe they get rid of the Superman marriage because, it's like, okay, that was brought in a couple of years ago. The Batman one, they're only just doing... That's not even till July. They're not going to get rid of it by the end
here's
of
the
the
thing.
year.
Just to tangent into the Batman-Catwoman marriage, I think that's going to be over before King leaves. I think King's story is going to include the end of that marriage.
Oh, quite possibly.
Oh my god. Bruce's starter marriage. Oh, man.
No, I just mean that I feel like because he's went through all the effort to set it up, I feel like one of the big things that will happen before the end of his run is how it ends in some way.
So he's just trying to get his family jewels.
So what I'm saying is that the Batman-Catwoman marriage doesn't have to be a... Oh, done.
Alright, you guys trying to reach yourself.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Connor was speaking until he finished his line there. No, what I'm saying is they don't have to erase Batman and Catwoman's marriage from history, because I think it will have a natural ending in the story.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to ever be erased. I think this is jumping to all the fear-mongering stuff that comic fans love to obsess about and go, oh no, they're going to ruin everything because they're evil companies.
That said, let me just point out what I said, though. Didio was never a fan of the super marriages. Like, he wanted them young, fresh.
Oh, sure, yeah, but
that's probably why they put they mentioned Didio's name in the article, just to lend some credence to it, because we're like, well, Didio doesn't like him.
But they've already done it. So that's my thing, and it proved to be unpopular. So then they had to do all these gymnastics to get Lois and Clark back.
Yeah.
And then they just rebirthed it. So you just wasted 4 years.
You don't piss all that away right after you've done it. And on top of that, like, I find it hard to believe that even Didio didn't learn from the positive response of Rebirth. And everything, all the good fortune that's came from what they did with Rebirth.
Here's the thing about Didio. As much as he has many, many faults, he's a businessman. He's not an idiot. He'll go, hey, this was a success. This made us money.
Let's
not screw that up.
To poke fun at, he has made, he's learned. This is not the same Didio from New 52, who's kind of swaggering, going, we're changing the comic industry. This is a guy that got knocked off of his chair and went, oh, this is a long climb back. So, as we learned in that latest, the WonderCon panel, where everybody that stepped on that stage took a dig at him, so...
Oh, yeah, that was good fun. And the other thing as well is, like, you're telling this is going to be a hard reboot, which, here's the thing, if this ends up being a thing where it's like a relaunch, where they're going to, like, do some new #1s, it's going to, like, change some status quo stuff, that's believable, that's fine.
That's, regular occurrence in the comic world.
That said, though, I find it hard to believe that either of those versions of it would happen before I said that weird, before the end of Doomsday Clock, and... I mean, I could see there'd been something in the middle of Snyder. Like, let's say this 2-year Justice League plan includes some sort of thing in the middle that does shake it up, right? Okay, sure. Yeah. I still don't buy that that's a complete reboot, though, where everything's going to be reset.
I can see a relaunch of sorts. Not a line-wide, but in the same way that we're supposedly getting this thing in August that they're naming and calling it a relaunch.
And to be fair, like, I feel like that started right now with Bendis' Superman, with Justice League books, all this stuff. I feel like if you're going to say that this summer has a creative kind of refresh, I feel like we've already started and done half of it in this month and next.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I don't know. I feel like it's this desire for them to name it so they can say this big thing's happening in August, and it feels like almost to the point where it's like against what even the company themselves, like DC marketing, would want. Like, no, we don't want to call it this big thing because everyone's going to think everything's changing, and it's not. Like,
well, you just look at Snyder's work on Batman. Is he effectively rebooted Batman when he had Gordon come in as super heavy, but that wasn't like it shifted things, but it wasn't for the long haul. It was just for the effect of that story.
I think the R words are being thrown around a little too often these days without really considering what they're meaning and what the hysteria that it may cause. So here's the thing. I assumed this was bullshit. I gave it no credence. I think we all kind of agreed on that front. This very same night, Jim Lee goes on Twitter and says, rumours of a reboot are ludicrous. Stop spreading misinformation. Have a good weekend. Now, here's the thing. You could tell me that, they would lie about their plans because they don't want to reveal things. But if they were planning anything along these lines, it would be, oh, there's no news, this is all just rumours.
Well, I think it's worth noting that they don't comment on Blinco's rumours usually. Like, the August stuff, silence.
No,
but just to finish my thought, like, if they were going to just like PR it to sort of deny it, they would say something very neutral sounding. This wasn't neutral. This was salty. This was like, stop spreading misinformation. To me, that was a direct, even though they never mentioned Bleeding Cool by name, right? Because why give them the traffic? Why give them the promotion?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm trying to say the names, like Beetlejuice.
But specifically saying, stop spreading misinformation, to me that was a direct jab at them. Hey, stop making our fans worry. There is nothing to this. Stop it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is like... so we all know I'm a big wrestling fan, and I try to stay up to date. There's a website that is known for that's been pretty right, but the WWE or New Japan, they don't ever address them at anything. They just treat it like it doesn't exist. But we know they're aware of all this stuff. So if I ever saw WWE outwardly address Dave Meltzer and say like whatever Meltzer's saying is wrong, then I would know something was up, right? Like. So
it's funny because I'd never heard of this guy until about 3 hours ago when I saw people commenting saying, this guy from Bleeding Cool, Rich Johnson, the main guy who writes all these stories and is the owner of the website. He talking that he's comics is Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, except, but I feel like Dave Meltzer at least has respect.
Oh yeah, Dave Meltzer's not seen as a laughing stock to a lot of people. He's
like he's friends with these indie guys called the Young Bucks, and Chris Jericho's had him on his show. So he's not one of the guys, but he's well respected amongst them. They just don't like when they have a big surprise return planned and he goes and spoils it because this is what he's heard, which is understandable, right? Like, you don't want someone spoiling your story.
No, I get that. Yeah,
it gets out, right? Versus this company, who I'm not going to name because it hurts my soul. Like, they're actively, doing things, and just so they can go, see, I told you. Nope, see, I told you.
They've published a retraction of sorts following this Jim Lee tweet as well.
Yeah.
Where I've got it here.
Where they tried not to go like.
The original stories that we put were well sourced, but further conversations with other sources who have suddenly come out of the woodwork have muddied those waters.
Bullshit.
Yeah. It's like, well, basically what it says, they spoke to one guy.
Source. Yeah.
All right, one at a time, fellas.
Go, Connor.
When I say one at a time, one of you has to speak. You don't just sit there waiting for the other way to go.
Well, I was saying, they basically spoke to one guy and went, "I'll do a great story." They didn't actually check with anyone else. They didn't verify the source.
Yeah.
And you can't use Jim Lee's Twitter as a source either. So you can't say that I came out and muddied the waters, which I feel that's the only.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning as well that other creators retweeted Jim Lee, sort of just agreeing that they're
Yeah.
It's like because Snyder retweeted it, just saying that what he said. It's like all of them are like, "Nah, this is bullshit."
Right.
Like,
He's also saying now that Crisis has just been used for a nickname for another project planned for the end of the year, in the same way how internally they use Panic Room for Before Watchmen. Which, sure, they've got a project planned for the end of the year.
Well,
I buy that.
I mean, but even we could have a mid-level Crisis-style story like Identity Crisis, which it's not a typical multiverse-spanning Crisis, but it did affect the characters going forward, right? So who knows? There could be some Crisis come this, but it's not this big major reboot.
That honestly,
flip the switch.
This if you want to call it a retraction, it feels to me like the amateurs attempt, how like a big company like EA have to put out sort of, we'll change our plans because everyone's mad at our loot boxes in our video game. They'll put out a statement. This feels like the version of that where they're not educated to actually put together a proper statement. It feels like trying to justify their mistakes.
It's really funny. I'm reading the rest of it, and so point 2. Yeah, that was the first point. That Crisis is a thing. It's just not what we said it was. The second point is saying, well, maybe reboot was a bit too heavy. Maybe it's just a relaunch, which it probably isn't. And then he's going. Thirdly. He's going about the Batman being married. It's like, well, yeah, maybe they won't even get married. Just because it's been announced and we know we're getting the issue doesn't mean it'll actually happen. Which
this is just baseless speculation, just rambling in an article. This is supposed to be a news article.
It is. Is this like using the homeless man on the corner yelling things into the sky as a source? Going, well, he said it. He said he worked there. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like,
and to be fair, I agree with that point. It's like, well, yeah, they might not get married. We know we're getting a wedding issue, but we don't know they're going to go through with it. They're very cagey about what's after. That's not news. That's him going, well,
I feel like social media and the proliferation of information has made what is news and what's not news super murky, because people forget what journalism is, and that journalism is meant to be objective. And if you're constantly trying to go into business for yourself and just be like, well, look, I was right because my sources are the best sources. At that point, you're not objective anymore.
That was a good impression of him, Matt. That was a good impression. My sources are the best sources of all the sources. We were right. We predicted that thing, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. So versus just being like, well, this is what we've heard. It might be true, it might not. But they come out and say things with such confidence.
Oh, they do. Because that's the thing. See if that original story came out with, all right, take this with a grain of salt, but we're hearing murmurs of some sort of crisis. It could be a reboot. It could be.
You can respect that, can't you?
But it wasn't. It was no. They're doing a crisis. It's going to reboot everything. It's going to raise these marriages. It was just nothing but fear mongering clickbait. That's all it was. And
if someone says, "Look, I've had a source tell me this might happen," but until we hear more, let's just keep it cool.
for a long time now, anytime I see that link to anywhere, I treat that link like it has a disease, and I just don't touch it. And I'll poke somebody with a stick going, hey, tell me what that says in there.
But annoyingly, sometimes they are right about some of the stuff they get, so you have to check
and that's fine. And when they are right, that's fine. That means they're doing, whatever source worked out, and they're actually doing something.
Can I just talk about the worst article I've seen from them in a long time? Wasn't even this one. This is the one from earlier in the week about the Batwoman cancellation that we were talking about.
And we go.
They broke this story, air quotes there, saying like, "Oh yeah, we've discovered this." It's like you read the Amazon thing. Yeah, that's it. Anyone can do that. Anyone did do that. They even said at the start of the article, one of our readers sent this to us. So it's like, right, okay, great. So anyone could have done that. And then it was full of just misinformation, like just factually wrong things. Instead of Kate Kane, they called her Kathy Kane. When referring to the future Batman stuff that's been going on in that and Detective Comics, they said it was Dick, not Tim. They said it was the first Bat book to be cancelled in Rebirth, which is just factually incorrect because Batgirl and the Birds of Prey has already been cancelled.
Right.
It was like, what even is this?
This
take 5 minutes to
so
just
much.
read.
The amount of Schadenfreude right now, I could kill a horse with it. Because
it's one thing to just come up with shit off the top of your head and go, "Hey, I've got a story," but fact check the things that have been going on in the comics for like 2 minutes to fact check.
I would never consider myself a journalist, but I used to write reviews for things, and if I got like anything wrong, I would be mortified that I even hit publish.
You
might
go. I get what you're saying, though. It would be you'd be horrified that this is supposed to be a professional journalism.
Exactly. Or if that went out on my friend's site, I'd pull that friend to the side and go, "Hey, dude, you need to fix things because this is not."
That's it. I think this the one we've been talking about causes more harm. That one's funnier and shows just how
it's worse journalism.
Exactly.
It's worse journalism, but I think
it's not even journalism.
It's just that one. That to me, that's more of like a funny footnote of like how stupid they are. Whereas spreading all this fear, making everyone talk about it, that bugs me way more because they're actually, because we have to sit and talk about this. I was on Twitter and people were worried about it, and I'm like, no, don't listen to them. There's no basis for this.
I know.
I feel like
a smug attitude in all their article. Like this article, the retraction ends with them going, "Hey, all those books we said in August, they haven't denied those, so they're definitely happening."
Yeah, that other thing we said might be right. So hey, we're not complete idiots. I'm like, well,
I feel like this site treats comic fans like Batman treats criminals, in which that they're cowardly and stupid lot or whatever the line is. Superstitious, not stupid.
It actually makes me angry, and I really hope none of our viewers or listeners actually put any stock in this website as a serious thing. Yeah. Because
and if you do, it's your go-to thing for news. Please just stop.
Good comics journalism is hard to come by. It is. Your best
good journalism period anymore is hard.
No, it's true. But comics in particular, there's all the traditional good sites that we had have kind of gone, right? Yeah. Now the best source of information is Twitter, directly from the creators.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Newsarama's fine for getting the press releases and stuff and solicits. Newsarama's solid, but
yeah. But that's not so much journalism when you're, taking what's objective. That's
sure.
That's PR. That's public relation type stuff. I know that was just redundant because publicity is what I meant to say, but but again, that's coming straight from DC, Marvel, Dark Horse.
Yeah, whatever. So no, I feel like there's probably a lot of people who watch or listen to this show though who just don't even know who Bleeding Cool are, and we've just told them about them.
And you're fortunate, so
maybe you are.
Just don't go down that rabbit hole. Just again, Twitter, like I think Pete said, or it might have been Connor.
Well, that was me, yeah.
But that's probably the best source because
it resembled a good point though, so he associated it with me because his mind couldn't handle it coming from you.
Connor,
I was like, so I'm not letting Pete have the credit for that one. I was right on that.
Fair enough, but like when you have these creators that are so open with people nowadays, like
all the stuff Snyder's been teasing us with.
Yeah. Well, again, he's an excitable kid that just wants like, hey, you guys want to know what I'm doing? And he puts it out there, and he doesn't care because he knows we're gonna go read it.
Do you know what I think's funny is that none of the creators commented on it all day, and then once Jim Lee did it, they all started like retweeting it and talking about.
Like, oh, that's okay. That's the green light.
It's basically like they didn't think they were allowed to address it, and then once he did, it's okay, floodgates are open. We can all just say it's shit now.
A peek behind the curtain when something goes down on the internet. Pete will tell me, just don't. So then I won't until he goes, all right, feel free to say what you want, and then I go off just because you're like a rampaging bear.
Oh yeah, Matt has to be leashed. Matt, not looked after is a dangerous thing.
For the lack of a DC character, I am this, the Hulk of this place, where just point me a direction and tell me to smash.
You mean you're the damage of this place?
No, I don't want to go that.
No. It's not going to be a thing.
It'll be gone in 4 months.
It's just while we're on the topic of comic creators on Twitter. Has anyone been seeing Tom King's teases?
Mm-mm.
He has been using action figures to tease upcoming storylines.
Well, he's been doing that a little bit because he used Harley, he used Booster Gold at one point. So
yeah, but he's been doing a lot in the past week or so.
Oh, good for him. I like this guy.
Oh, they've been so funny.
After I meet Jason Aaron in June, he's the next guy on my list.
Jason Aaron's cool to just chat.
Nah, King's solid on Twitter. Well worth keeping track of him. Snyder as well for all the teases and tips and various things. There's a lot of good comic creators on Twitter. There's a lot of good ones. Seek them out. All right. With that said, after an hour or so of conversation, is it time to finally start talking about the comic books?
I think it is.
Look, they incited us with rage. What do you want us to say?
Actually, we can't go straight on to the books. I've just remembered.
God's sake.
Sunk in a ditch.
I've just remembered we do have a little bit of sales figures to talk about this week. I'll make it quick.
I'll be back in 5 minutes, guys.
No, Matt, you've got guessing to do. Yeah. Don't you not find out how...
We haven't got time for guessing. We just waste it all in anger.
You know how Connor doesn't like reading Bizarro? That's how I feel about numbers. My brain doesn't go around them.
Matt, a Superman book...
It's Action Comics. There we go.
Yes. A Superman book was #1, Matt. You should be happy. Yeah. Should be happy.
Do you have the hard numbers?
I do have the hard number. That's why I want to talk about it.
I wish they could break it down per cover, because I would like to know which cover sold the most.
Yeah. Although I found out something interesting. I assumed that these Diamond numbers were just because Diamond shipped everywhere, so it was everywhere's numbers. But it turns out it's not. Turns out it's only North American numbers. These. So,
really?
Yeah. So there's actually more being sold that we're not seeing.
That's interesting because Diamond are like the global distributor.
They are. No, they are. This was Ryan Higgins talking about it. That it was like, and he's a comics retailer, so he knows better than me. Yeah. So I thought it was interesting because the number that Action Comics sold for per the chart in North America are 449,000, which is pretty good.
Obviously, we know from early reports it shipped over 500,000.
Yeah, exactly, and that stands to reason. If you add up the rest of the world and add in digital and as well. I'm sure it's done well more than that. So obviously that's very good. Obviously there was no doubts Action Comics was going to be #1 for April.
Yeah, for 1,000.
What's interesting actually is that this is actually one of the best months in a long time because there are 6 books over 100,000, which is not done in a long time.
There's not much DC in the top 10, though, is there?
There is not much DC in the top 10. Part of that is because they're building up to Amazing Spider-Man 800, so 798 and 799 are numbers 2 and 3, with 233,000 and 192,000 respectively. So,
still very high.
Very high, yeah. They're really ramping that up. Hunt for Wolverine #1, which is kind of the kick-off issue that leads into 4 miniseries, because Marvel. That's #4 with 138,000. So that's doing well. Batman's #5. Batman 44 is at #5 specifically with 125,000. Number 45 is at #7 with 96,000, which is a shame actually, because I think that's the first one that's dropped below 100 on this chart. So that's upsetting. But hey,
they'll get back up there by 50.
Well, yeah, 50 is going to boost it, absolutely. Sandwiched in between those two at #6 is unfortunately something called Venomized, #1 at 103,000. I'm not.
I didn't read that. I did read the new Venom book.
I'm tired of hearing how good it is because I don't care about Venom.
Do you know what,
this
Matt?
Is all strictly personal.
You know what? Even though I vowed off Marvel single issues, I heard so much crap about Venom and Avengers #1 that I read them this week. Yes. I read those 2 books. Venom had some nice art. I wasn't into the story.
I liked it more. I don't love it, don't get me wrong. But I thought it was pretty good. It was a well-told issue.
It's not into, I don't care. Avengers I like more, but I still don't think I love it. It's fine.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun.
Fine. That's fine. Oh.
I'm surprised Matt hasn't read it yet because
It's Aaron,
No,
yeah.
I have to get caught up on DC before I do anything, and then I got caught up on Thor and what else? Kill or Be Killed, and I think Lazarus.
I may be back for more Avengers. I may not be. We'll see how it feels. If not in singles, definitely in trade, probably when it's more of
in a nice cheap Amazon sale.
And a nice cheap Amazon sale. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So that was so Feminize was at 6, 7 was Batman 45, 8 was Domino number 1 with 89,000. So actually that's quite an impressive number. So congrats to Gail Simone for that.
I did check that out because it was Gail Simone.
Yeah.
That was the only reason, and it was just pretty fun.
Yeah, I know nothing about the character. Like, when I see Deadpool 2 in a couple of weeks, that'll be my first exposure to her.
You took the words out of my mouth.
No, I agree. My first exposure was the Deadpool 2 trailer of I'm lucky.
Thing.
That's it. That's all I knew going in. But it's a fun enough read.
That said, Peter's the standout of the Deadpool 2 trailer, quite frankly.
Obviously.
That dude showed up at the premiere in costume.
In costume and his shirt with his jacket. Yeah.
Yep. I love it.
That is a hero amongst.
We all know that. Both me and Pete were kind of Luke on Deadpool, like lukewarm. Like, we liked it, but
comedy was good, but the villain was kind of shit, and
Yeah, I am much more hyped for this one just because it seems I have the formula down.
Yeah, it looks a bit better. The jokes are a bit more cutting. But that end of that trailer, when that's just random guy who shows up. He says, so what's your superpower? I don't have one. My name's Peter. I saw the ad. I wanted to sign up, and he's like, "You're in." And it just cuts to the ending of him skydiving in like normal clothes, and his mustache is cut like
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a really funny joke. So
it is, and Joe, I don't even care if the movie ends up being shit because the marketing has been so spectacularly amazing.
But see, I'm gonna go in with comedy rules as long as it makes me laugh. Like it'll be fine because that's
how I felt about the first one. Like as a comedy movie, I love it.
Yeah. But see, I wasn't thinking it was going to be more superhero stuff, so I had a different mindset. But this one, just the first trailer where the Cable CG wasn't done, so he acted it out like Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that was amusing. I think my problem plot-wise with the first one is it had that weird structure where it felt like the one action scene was being dragged out over the entire movie until the last act. And it kind of made me feel weird, like it wasn't moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just... yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad. Like the humour was good. So that was number 8. Number 9 is Captain America 700. For a landmark issue, that seems kind of low.
Yeah, I feel like Secret Empire making him a secret Hydra guy kind of has done the character.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one where people are like, okay, it's 700, but there's a new run starting in a couple of months, right?
Yeah, that was 77,000.
We'll be back at number 1, I'm sure.
Which, don't get me wrong, that is a boost for that book. That is higher than it's been, but it's still for 700 issue.
And that's a Wade book as well. It's worth knowing. That's got a name behind it.
Number 10 is Walking Dead 178 with 73,000. Looking just sort of for some DC coming after that. White Knight number 7 was number 11.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Given how high the top 10 is this month.
There's a lot of Marvel.
In an average month, that probably would have cracked in.
Yeah, there's a lot of Marvel in the top 20 actually. You're going down to number 20 for the next DC book, weirdly. So Marvel had a good month.
Much Star Wars in that 20?
That's storming around. Darth Vader's number 19. Star Wars is number 14. So those two are there. But yeah, Tech. Both issues of Tech are 20 and 21 respectively. So that's still doing really solid. Flash is number 27 and 28 respectively. So they're doing.
So after excluding action, you've got Batman, White Knight, and Detective, and then
Flash.
you've got Flash.
Yeah.
So okay.
So
some perspective on that.
And then Justice League, which that's just the Priest stuff, which it was better than before. It wasn't high profile, I don't think.
No, I was talking to my friend on Wednesday, and he's like, "Yeah, so that Priest run definitely meant to be longer, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah, that's just coasting on name of the Justice League alone.
Yeah.
So this new stuff should do much better.
And then you get into the Superman issues at 34 and 37, and then oddly, so far we've had your Batman books, your Flash book, your Justice League, your Action Comics 1000, then Superman. The next book from DC on this list, Mr. Miracle.
Nice.
God damn.
That's
well
cool.
Deserved.
That is really cool.
It's that, and I'm impressed by White Knight because, yeah, it's a Batman book. It's got Batman in the title, but it's so separate, right? It's not in continuity. It's not like got the obvious link that most people are going to buy it. the fact that that sells so well is a testament to its merit, as well as just it being a Batman name, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really wish they added in digital sales, though, because as someone who buys all the books digital, I really want to know how digital affects things, because I feel like with some of the lower selling books, like Batgirl doesn't sell that much physically, it's like less than 20,000, but I wonder, like, does the digital sales of that make it up?
The only thing I have for reference of this is where, creator-owned books talk about it a little bit more. Like, Kieran Gillen, who does Wiki and the Divine, he talks about digital numbers quite a bit. He says usually 60% of their sales for singles come from digital.
Yeah, because
those sorts of smaller books, the market for digital is a lot bigger.
That's what I was going to guess. I was going to say that I think that for the books that are in the top 10, say, it's probably like 30%, but as you get lower down the list, it's probably a bigger percentage, because I feel like...
I think as well it depends on the market of who it's aiming at. Like, the big superhero books, I think traditionally do better in the comic stores, because that's where their audience are.
Because I know
the more quirkier ones, the little side projects, your Harley Quinn as well. That sells really well digitally because it appeals to a different audience.
Because I know Miss Marvel at Marvel, obviously, that doesn't do great sales physically, but the digital sales are so good that's why that's like one of the most consistent books. And in the sense that it's only relaunched once at #1 with the same writer, but they're actually just about to hit 50 issues. Like they've been going for a while on that. The same writer, so digital does make a difference. It's weird when you look at it. It's like, oh, why are they not cancelling that? It's only selling 15,000, but for all we know, digital's doubling that.
Yeah, it is, especially on those smaller books. It's well worth noting that it's the proportions are just completely different. So,
yeah, it's worth keeping in mind. But with that said, we can finally get onto the books, and we don't have a lot in terms of numbers this week, but we have some doozies. We have some big landmark moments, and obviously starting off with Justice League.
No Justice and Detective for Pete, because
not just me. Come on now, I'm not the only one who cares about that.
Yeah, and White Knight's his last issue, so that's a big turn point. We're reflecting on the series
Flash
as a whole.
with the Road to Flash Wars. I think.
Yeah, but damn it, you ruined my. Cause I was gonna jump out at that one.
Okay.
You just took it from me.
So sorry. Well, I'll just keep stealing things from you, Matt.
It's alright.
So
anyway,
we got John to talk about.
First up, we have Justice League No Justice #1. Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, and Joshua Williamson all on the writing team, and then Francis Manapul on the art. And I'm going to get up just because I want to look at it as I'm talking about it.
That is the first thing I want to say. This is a beautiful book.
Do you know what's funny?
It's utterly gorgeous.
But Connor, we're biased, so Pete.
No, but even by Manapul standards, this is incredible.
Yeah, I wonder what Pete thinks about the art.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that's worth asking me, because I like Manapul, but I'm not typically as high on him as you guys are. I think this is the best Manapul art I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to say, because often Manapul does his own colours. He's not here. It's hi-fi, and I think it's just like the second page. You have that big, huge double page spread.
Well, I want to say I think that's actually why I like it more than I usually do, because I think the colours are a little bit different. They've got a little bit more. They're not as
definition to them.
Yeah, they're not watercolory. Like
exactly. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I was getting at.
Manapul's colours are usually a bit flatter than this.
Yeah, and I think there's some of the darker moments later on with the shadows and stuff actually work better because of the way the colouring is, and I think it has more mood because of that.
That's fair. It's stuff like here the Superman. It pops a little more because it's a bit of a brighter blue. It just kind of stands out a touch.
So the issue begins. Well, obviously there's like a little bit at the start with the Green Lanterns going out to the Source Wall, and we get nothing else of them. So who knows, like what fights they're fighting? Who knows, like if they're all just like screwed? We don't know. Mystery. We'll get back to that.
Well, it's smart that this is a big cosmic story, and you take the cosmic police off the board real quick.
Yeah,
but it's that page of them at the Source Wall is just okay. I'm in for this book immediately.
And it's Guy Gardner going like, okay, yeah, you're saying this is a leak in the boat, but this is the Source Wall. It's bigger than that, and and then you get the scale. Like that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. And then you have basically we start with Brainiac. And Brainiac sort of drones are fighting with all the teams. So we see the Titans are fighting Brainiac clones. We're seeing Teen Titans fight them. We're seeing the Suicide Squad fight them. So you get a sense of this big global scale. And then we get to the big reveal. Okay, the Justice League are fighting Brainiac himself and his armor. Yeah, and it's big. It's bold. Superman's fighting him, and you know, there's some fighting going on. Like, you know, Flash is running around trying to save the rest of the team, but ultimately, like, Brainiac's like captures everyone. That's kind of what this all builds up to. It starts off with some, you know, traditional, okay, Justice League's fighting Brainiac. There's fighting going on, and it looks great. But it's all building up to, like, no, Superman, I'm not here for what I usually am.
Nope.
And then we cut to, and I like that we actually start with on characters who are not the main Justice League. You know, we start with Beast Boy. By the way, Bear Beast Boy here looks great. That was my first thought.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Of course, Matt loves the bear.
I love that he wakes up and he's like, Brainiac will kill us all, and then Harley's like, Bear will kill us all.
The bear will eat us all. Yeah.
Well, and she's like fuzzy wuzzy, so she's doing the fuzzy wuzzy rhyme.
Yeah.
You know, in her sleep, it seems. That's
good.
Yeah.
And they're with Starfire and Zatanna, so you've got a real weird, you know, team here.
My question: where did Zatanna come from? Just because she wasn't with any of the teams, right?
He's obviously grabbed her as well. Well, we see later on, he's grabbed villains, he's grabbed, you know, multiple people.
No, it's true. I just think it was interesting that he throws her in with these, but, you know, just separately, whereas he doesn't take Aquaman, it seems, as much as he subdued him. He's there in that fight.
That first double-page spread, if you go through the panels, Brainiac's attacked New Orleans, New York, Metropolis, Happy Harbor, and San Francisco. So those are the ones that they're reporting on. So you can kind of, you know, the Teen Titans are in New York. The Titans are in New York. Teen Titans are in San Francisco. The Justice League were in
Metropolis.
So who was in Happy Harbor? And then we know Suicide Squad was in New Orleans, because that's where Belle Reve is. So it makes me wonder if a lot of these other characters were at the Hall of Justice that Snyder was, you know, teasing, like they just go and hang out and stuff. You know, that's Dr. Fate and Zatanna. Who else?
Yeah, because when they stumble out of the room and they get to, like, you know, the big main lobby and all the bottled cities are around, we see, you know, Dr. Fate's there, Martian Manhunter, Ryan Choi, Raven, Damien, and what I liked about this is that, you know, Martian Manhunter's front and center, and I said this on Twitter this week, that I really like that in this, what we've seen of Justice League, even him popping up in Flash this week, is that it doesn't just feel that he's here to make us happy that he's back. It feels like he's actually a prominent member of the team.
He's a heavy hitter. Like, in that way, like, he carries emotional weight because he seems to be like the therapist of the Justice League. He knows everyone's problems. They can confide in him. And here, he's that calming presence because you have Damian trying to fight Dr. Fate.
Because of course he is.
You know? Yeah. So, and then you have him going, all right, Damian, you need to calm down. We're going to figure this out. I also love Choi admiring the shrinking tech.
He's like,
you have a whole city in here.
This is even better than my tech. I must examine this.
I can appreciate that.
So obviously they're like, oh, we have to find Brainiac and kill him, and then Brainiac steps out, and he's already talked to the main members of the Justice League. He's talked to the core four plus Cyborg, and I did that intentionally. I'm sorry.
Well, I think that's interesting because Cyborg's not around, is he?
What do you mean?
You know, Cyborg's not. But he's there then. But you don't really see him much at the end of the issue where everything's kicking off.
Okay.
He's kind of just he's not as much as he's in the forefront there with the main group. Come the end, he's shunted to the back, whereas all the rest of the main group are at the forefront.
I don't know if that means anything in story reasons, if it's just, you know, less interested in using them.
It's kind of their. No, he's given a prominent spot, you know, more so than like Luthor or even Lobo, because he's closer to the camera, for lack of a better term. So
yeah, okay. I was just thinking, in terms of the main league, you got, like, you know, Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman right at the front, and then, you know, Flash and Rashman are just behind them, and then Cyborg shunted all the way to the back line, with the other ones.
I'll tell you what I love.
Well, they're already where they need to be. They don't need them to teleport anywhere, so they're like, just go hang out back there until we need you. All right.
What point are you trying to make here, though?
I just thought it was interesting that he kind of feels like you know, as much as this starts off by going, oh, he's with the main group, it's like, never mind, forget about it. It's almost like he's not actually as important as it seems.
He'll be a heavy hitter on the Wisdom team, you know, like, or is he on Wonder?
He's on Wisdom. He's all in red anyway. Okay. The Flash.
Yeah. So it's him in the Flash, I'm sure, with Robin and Harley.
Yeah.
So
here's something I like here. I like that immediately Brainiac's like, yes, I'm telling the truth. You're familiar with this lasso of truth. He just holds it up. It's like, okay, on. I'm telling the truth. It's happening. So he quickly dispels that, and then he explains the Omega Titans, these celestial beings that have come out from behind the Source Wall, and the four brothers, the four Omega Titans, and they represent the four teams we've got. Entropy, wisdom, wonder, and mystery. And he's like, okay,
again,
so
they look, just on a design level, they look fantastic.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, okay, I've redistributed you all into teams. You've got your matching colours and symbols and whatnot. By the way, I never realised how much I would enjoy, and it's only one little moment, but, Gar with Batman. Hey, I'm on Team Batman! Not now, Gar.
not now, man.
I really like your brain. Like, look, I took you out that quickly, and it's like, I could have just explained it to you. This is why I'm redistributing the teams, because you're not your most efficient.
Yeah.
Because you're so formulaic, I can just take you out. But there was no point explaining that, because then you wouldn't listen. So I just did it, just to prove that how easy it was.
And obviously he reveals that the first planet being attacked is Kolu. So it's like, hey, my home world's under attack. You come and save that.
It's personal for him.
And as an insurance policy, I've made sure that they'll go to Earth next. Like I've planted like a little seed, if you will.
He wouldn't be Brainiac if he didn't do something like that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, he's still a villain, basically. I mean, is that ultimately what we get at? But basically, Batman points out, wait a minute, all these teams are like, lopsided. One's get 5, one's get 4, one's get 3. Come on, like there's people missing. We need more heroes here. And that leads, of course, to the reveal that the rest of the teams are made up with villains. And we get the full page spread of Lex Luthor, Sinestro, Deathstroke, Etrigan, Starro, with Starbro, sorry, with the ha. Now this is a Justice League. Him with attitude is cracking me up. I'm loving it.
That's why he's Starbro.
And Lobo, of course, as well.
This is a negative, but you have Harley waking up amongst the heroes, but you have Lobo, who's just been on a Justice League squad, being grouped with the villains.
Honestly,
I don't understand.
I think that's just a testament to where Harley is now and how she's seen by creative.
I think, to be fair, taken from her actual book, this is more in line with where she falls. The problem is that because they're taking her from the Suicide Squad, I expect her to be more with the villains.
Yeah. I guess arguably, like, she was the only one taken from a team though, whereas all of these were collected presumably individually
By themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you got Etrigan.
I'm down for Etrigan. I love Etrigan.
Yeah. Also, I don't know how Brainiac got to him.
Actually, we're not quite there yet. We've got to see with Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller's getting Task Force 11 ready, whoever that is. And then we turn the page, and it's this room full of psychics, and they're all hooked up. So she's basically coming for Brainiac, and she's got like lots of psychics to sort of combine their psychic power to take on Brainiac.
They're all hooked up with the chairs, so they're all linked.
And me and Matt were debating earlier as to some of the identities of some of these. Cause some of them are obvious. Maxwell Lord's at the front. We see Hector Hammond, the Green Lantern villain, at the back. Doctor, what's his face? Poison, right? No, not Poison.
No, Dr. Psycho.
Dr. Psycho, thank you. I'm thinking of other Wonder Woman villains. Because Dr. Poison was mentioned in this week's Wonder Woman, that's why I'm thinking of that. But he's there at the back. We were debating the red dude to the left because Matt said the Sparrow, and well, I get why he's saying that. He's missing his fin, he's missing his third eye, although theoretically it could be covered.
So third eye could be covered by the head chef.
No, absolutely. Yeah. He's also much skinnier than I'm used to seeing him, so I'm not convinced.
Here's the thing too. I looked up before we were starting, and his race, the Colorians, they all have fins. So either this isn't a Colorian or someone messed up, either in the scripting or the art.
I mean, there's a possibility, because I said this when I saw this page, like, to have a room full of this many psychics, they probably had to make some deep cuts to get some real C-lister and D-listers to make up the room. Yeah,
definitely.
You can see Simon there as well, sort of peeking out behind Maxwell Lord's shoulder, from Titans most recently. So so that's what's happening. Then we have a scene with Brainiac and Lex Luthor, which is I thought that was very interesting. Just in terms of like two characters playing off of each other, you don't normally get to see.
This is where some of the art shines as well. Where, you have the silhouette of Manhunter and just the red X, and then just Luthor come up behind him.
Luthor in shadow in the foreground, in the middle, the sort of second bottom panel, I think is particularly quite nice.
I love the reverse, because when it comes in, Manhunter's the one in the shadow and Luthor's in the light.
Yeah, and Luthor actually agrees with Martian Manhunter's deduction, but he does point out at the end, if you try to read my mind again, I'll have you burned alive.
I love that. It's I'll burn you alive. He knows exactly what he's afraid of.
Yeah, he knows what his weakness is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also love that when the villains present themselves, immediately Starfire's like, I'm not working with Sinestro!
Oh, and I love that. And I love how she's like, yeah, Tamara never needed the Green Lanterns. So, like, piss off. Man, she is slowly climbing my ranks of favorite characters.
She's mine too. I love Starfire.
Like, I like that she's getting such a prominent push lately, so...
Yeah, she's going to be on Odyssey, so she's, rising up in the ranks.
I think Pete's just glad we said who this was.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Very good. So no, and obviously there's a little bit of conversation between Raven and Etrigan. Obviously they both come from the sort of demonic side of the corner of the DCU, so a little bit there. But yeah, so it's basically, okay, so this is what we're going to do. Brainiac's like, stop fighting amongst yourselves. Like, this is important. This is what's going to happen,
Gaming gives a tut.
Yeah, and we get a fantastic big spread of one of the Omega Titans on Kolu. Very well designed. We see all the heroes rather. Well, some of them are villains, but all the heroes just sort of looking up, going, "Shit, what are we going to do here?"
It's pretty impressive looking.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's some.
That is the wisdom one, right? That's come to
Kolu.
Yeah.
And I love about this double page spread is that it's so unevenly spaced. It's the Omega Titan is so huge and it takes up a bit, maybe 3/4 of the page, and then all the heroes are just shunted into that last quarter on the right.
Yeah,
that's how small they are.
Yeah, how small they are. That's exactly how I was going to phrase it. Yeah. So then there's a sort of one, because I wouldn't say there's many wacky layouts in this one, because Manapul can get quite wacky at times. This is probably the wackiest he gets. Is this one? It's the three Brainiac circles, if you will, with a split between this, and it's basically. Amanda Waller's psychics, Task Force 11, attack him, and it leads to her final page, her final moment, in which Brainiac's head explodes. Now, it is worth mentioning, this is just robot Brainiac, he's not dead. At least not for good.
Well, that's it, because you could question it up to that point, but when the head explodes, you can see all the mechanical gears.
Yeah, when the head pops. So we're left in this predicament, they know what they have to go do, and we got Titans to stop, we got Omega Titans.
Yeah, and that title page though, when it just comes and saying no justice, it's so good.
Which by the way, they're going to take on 4 Titans. Thanos would be nothing to this team. I'm just saying it. I'm saying it right now.
I'm not weighing in because I feel you can like both without having.
End of Act 1 of Infinity War, Justice League would have had it won.
Yeah, well, maybe this Justice League.
This Justice League, not the movie Justice League. That's it goes without saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I as well, the next week, Crisis on Two Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
All right, play into it, Snyder.
Yeah,
give me what I want.
Lean into it. Yeah.
Play it into the classic stories you're referencing.
So that's it. So even if this is traditional Brainiac and his head exploded, right, then this opens the door for a next version of Brainiac, which I'm more than okay with, because I like when they update him.
Oh, sure.
Sure. So. But it's clearly the robot. When the head explodes, you can see all the gears.
Yeah, but also look at when Waller's going through stuff in that diagram, it looks like it's a combination of cybernetic and biological. Is the word I'm looking for. So
that's truth to that. That's truth to that.
So, but either way, I like that's why I love John's Brainiac story so much, and it's not just for the emotional impact it has, but for what it did for Brainiac, saying that these were all drones, and like he finally met the real one, and he was just as jacked as Superman. It was a physical threat as well. So, anytime you can update that, that's cool.
Here's Matt's weekly reminder to watch Krypton.
I know.
Do it.
Shh, I have 8 episodes banked. I'll get to it.
Needless to say, I think we all liked this, right? I think that's pretty clear.
Oh, I loved it, yeah.
Given the enthusiasm of which we talk about it and went through page by page.
Yeah. This feels like an event, and I'm like, I know it's only 4 issues, but honestly, it feels good.
That is honestly my only concern about this is that how is this all done in 3 more issues?
So my one take back is some of the dialogue is a little bit info dumpy.
Oh sure.
Like it feels very video game exposition. Like I can't
Brainiac stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I kept waiting for the click here for next.
Okay.
But we are set up now, so now we can just get into it next issue and see.
I will say, for you're saying how's it wrapped up. I don't think it is. I think that's why we still have 3 teams afterwards. It's
Oh,
like,
sure. I mean, obviously it's continuing leading into the next thing, but I still think there's a concern that all this stuff we're doing, like, we have to have this part of it wrapped up in 3 issues.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I feel like it could end with them beating just one of the Titans and the others retreating.
Oh, maybe, yeah. No, I can see that. I can see that.
But,
like I say, I mean, it's not a big concern, but if I have a concern, it would be that at this point.
That's fair.
Is that it may be overstuffed in 4 issues.
I mean, that's fair, but we were going towards the end of Metal going, how's this going to wrap up? And, yeah, ultimately I was pretty satisfied with the pacing, personally.
You know, it could have been a bit better, but...
not in terms of the release schedule, but, you know, the actual, just what was in the issues.
I think... yeah, you threw me off there. I was going to say something. I don't know, I can't remember now. Just need to move on.
Well,
fine.
Sorry.
How are you feeling, Matt?
No, I'm 100% in. Again, it feels like pre-Infinite Crisis era, and I'm hooked in.
Only a week till next issue as well.
And you know, if Justice League and the books, the other family of books that are coming out of this can just evoke the feeling of this on a regular basis.
The fact that it's 3 writers that I really enjoy, and they're all branching off to like, you know, to each Justice League team, I'm confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels kind of like in that era where when they were doing 52 and you had like the 4 or 5 writers who were all kind of the spearheading the universe at that point.
It's very much that.
It feels so good to be excited about Justice League, and because obviously, you know, we've known this was coming for a while now, so we've kind of been excited, but now I've read some of it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I want these books now.
I haven't been this excited for Justice League since midway through the Darkseid War. Then I realized it was going on way too long. So, you know, then it kind of came off, and it's been hit or miss ever since, but this feels like a...
And they've openly said that, you know, this is going to influence the universe as a whole. And we've already talked about in the news about how we're going to get a new thing in this, you know, the opposite of the Speed Force, the opposite, you know, Lantern Spectrum, like, you know, all these things.
Well, and that's another thing that speaks to the balance, is that's what Brainiac brings up about them. That's why he split the teams, because you need to be balanced, and you can't have balance on a team full of good guys, which makes me worry about the Wisdom team. Because if your villain on that team is Harley, then how balanced could it be? You know?
Is that the only villain on that team?
I think so. Look at all of them. Sinestro's on... You go through them. Sinestro's on Mystery. Etrigan's on Wonder. Lobo's on Entropy. Deathstroke's on Entropy. Lex is on Entropy. And Starro's on Mystery.
I'll take it word for it. I'd have to look at the covers again to know
yeah,
who's on
I
each
would
team.
too. But
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Unless we're counting Damien as a villain, which I definitely could, because he's a little shit most of the time.
I mean, he's like you. He's basically you in Robin form.
Not...
He is pint-sized you.
Yes.
See?
He's mini Matt. No, it was really good. I think it's big and exciting. I think it's teasing a lot of things. It's the character interactions were solid. It was a little bit exposition-y. Art was gorgeous. It's nice to be excited for all this big stuff that's coming, and you know, I'm pumped for next week now. I'm pumped for the next issue.
Yeah, I'm excited going forward now. Like I was like, this is going to be the first thing I read every week now for this month.
And keep in mind that we're getting the first issue of Justice League a week after this finishes, so we actually have essentially 5 issues in a row. Also,
in the same period, we're getting Man of Steel starting.
Yeah, that starts the same week as this ends.
Right. So, so excited.
Yeah, Connor doesn't care about that, but we're excited.
Shut up, Connor.
I don't want to say anything. I'll just stick to my Justice League.
You can stick to your Justice League.
I'll just get my Superman fix in here, hopefully.
Okay, shall we move on?
Yeah, let's talk Detective.
Detective Comics number 980, James Tynion IV, Scot Eaton on the art, and as with a solid issue, first and foremost, they did some good things with building up to our final issue of the run, and you know we had Batman with Orphan and Spoiler sneaking into the Belfry to try and take control back and find stuff out. Batwoman is protecting Montoya, which was a fun opening scene that really got going, but that's not bury the lead here.
See, I thought you were going to build to it. So I didn't know what you're doing, so I had to wait to feel you out to see what you were doing.
Here's the thing. Someone on Twitter, one of our audience on Twitter, before I read it, just tweeted at me saying, you're going to love Detective this week. And I went, okay, all right.
And then I saw you in the Facebook thread go, oh my god, yeah, it's Detective this week. And I was like, oh, okay. Something happens with characters.
Do you know, I said to Pete the other day, cause when I was recording something, I think it was probably Wednesday evening, I went, have you read any comics yet? And he goes, I've read, I've read 2, Detective and, Justice. I was like, oh, how are they? And he was like, Detective is, it's pretty special. I was like, okay, what happens with Steph?
Yep.
My response was, it's not just Steph, which is also accurate.
Okay, then what happened with Cassandra Cain?
So basically, they're sneaking in, and they're getting so far, and Steph's drones are just sort of, wiping them from any surveillance.
Yeah, I love that they're anti-Tim. She was so mad at him. She was like, I'm going to create technology where he can't follow me.
But they get to the server room or whatever, and she's like, okay, once we get down there, we're not going to be cloaked anymore. We're going to have to, do things fast. And Batman's like, okay, let's do this. And they're going down. And when, the general, sends in his OMAC soldiers, and they're talking to them and all that. Basically, they're trying to talk Steph out of it, and they say, hey, you're not even the best version that you can be. You're a pale imitation of what you could be, both of you. And then we see her, the reaction at the end of that page is her going, oh my god. And I'm like, what am I about to see? And I turn the page, and he's showing them basically them as Batgirls from the original timeline. He's like, because of OMAC, he's got information from previous timelines, and he shows them in their Bat costumes, and they're like, holy shit. And later on, when we come back to it, some of the moments I really loved about this was Cass. First of all, she mentions we're Batgirls, and then later on, she's like touching the hologram of the suit, and she's like, the symbol, they let me. And I'm like, she loves the idea of having a bat symbol.
Well, and I love that Brother Eye's like, you were an orphan no more. And I just love that play on her current code name. And I also, this might be the second most I've ever loved Stephanie Brown. When she defeats him by going like, hey, you thought that you were getting me off my game, but really you just showed me that I'm better in every timeline. So eat this. Yes. And then she does what she needs to.
My waffle queen and my silent night. They're here. And now, admittedly, some people might think I'm jumping to conclusions here, saying that this might set something up. I don't necessarily think it is for sure.
No.
But I do think at the very least, Cass being excited about the idea of having a bat logo, I think it'll probably lead to her at least having a new costume. Whether it's a Batgirl costume or whatever, I don't know.
I find it weird that all of the stuff that's spinning out of my favorite era of comics is coming out of tech. Because that's the first reference we've gotten to Tim to Tim about Connor was there, and then now we have this with the two different Batgirls in that era.
Actually saying the word Batgirls, the fact that Birds of Prey's ended, is my dream trio of Batgirls book going to be a thing? Are they going to go to Babs and say, hey, we want trained as Batgirls? Is that going to be a thing?
Okay, here's your ultimate choice. You have to rank your Batgirls.
Oh no, don't make me do that.
Yeah, you have to do it right now.
Don't make me do that. They're all so good.
I know.
See with the Robins, it's so easy. The Robins, I can hit them
If it wasn't difficult, I wouldn't be asking.
I can't do it. It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's too hard. It's probably Babs.
It's like this. Babs, Steph, Cass.
Yeah, it's probably Babs, Steph, Cass, but the increments between them are so minute.
I agree with that, but only because I've read the least of Cass. So
I like her character and I like her here, but compared to the other two, Babs is that's your gold standard. That's your Dick Grayson of the Batgirls.
I think I like Cass in concept more than I do Steph. It's just I've read more of Steph, so I have a bit more of an attachment.
I like how snarky Steph, and she proved it in this one where Tynion felt like that Brian Q. Miller version of her at the end of this one. Where
just seeing that costume again is so exciting to me, and I like them knowing this at the very least is exciting, and and not to jump to conclusions, but he did say on Twitter he was working on a book that was spinning out of this with a couple of the characters. So who knows? Maybe that does involve these characters. It could do.
Yeah, I could see you're talking about an all female Justice League team, right? Like I could see an all female Bat Family book.
Oh sure,
easy, and that's something I would read in a heartbeat. Like I love Gotham City Sirens, but that was the opposite side. I would like to see that. but with this group. So,
yeah, I could totally see it, but needless to say, I mean, I love No Justice, and I loved another book or two that we'll be getting to, but in terms of a moment, this was the one that made me go, oh shit, the most this week.
I get that. I feel like, though, for me, my problem is, as fantastic as this moment is, I don't think the issue overall like stands up. I think it's a fine issue, and then it's like, oh, and here's why you care.
I know.
But
I
it's
think
kind of
I think it goes beyond fine.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
The Kate and Renee stuff.
Yeah, Kate and Renee
like,
starts great as well. Yeah, the fact because Omac's like attacking Renee, and Kate swoops in, like, don't you dare touch her, and even the fact that Renee hears like she's going to be the commissioner in this future timeline, like all that stuff was working for me.
And then Renee, it was fine. I didn't love it.
Renee and Harvey Bullock just back and forth, give me some Gotham Central style vibes. Like this felt like not a greatest hits, but like all the stuff that I love around the peripheral Bat universe. All these smaller characters, Batman. Like, yeah, he has an impact because he's with Steph and Cass, and they're doing their run into the Belfry. But, like, it's all these little stuffs around that. And then you see him fight Batwing and Azrael and how those are different versions of himself and whatnot. Like, that was all really there, and it was all solid.
Yeah, no, I love this issue quite a bit. So, and not just because of
I didn't quite love it. I thought it was a decent issue, and then it went, oh, hey, here's what you care about because you care about it already. So it was like, okay, that helps, but I didn't love the issue in general.
Yeah, we've established many a time that you have questionable taste, so that's okay. That was a great issue. It
was a good issue.
It was a great issue. I'll have none of it. But obviously, yes, it had that one big shining moment that was the thing. But even just the emotion after it, like Cass, like oh, they let me wear the bat symbol. That moment, like is like.
No, I
so
think that
good.
Those last 5 pages or so are pretty great. Yeah. But I think the rest of the issue before it's okay. It doesn't do a lot for me. It's good. It's the next part of the thing, but I'm not like super into it like of what it's doing there.
No, I thought it was a great issue. I was liking it already up until that point with everything else.
Yeah. Well, and then I just thumbed through it right now, and Ulysses' look was like, what the hell she just do? Because she effectively just broke Omac. Yeah, she shouldn't be able to do.
Because she says, you just gave me access to the history of an entire timeline. So she's going to use that in some way to beat him. So that's pretty exciting. So we'll see what she does with that.
If that's the case, and if that's Tynion working through Stephanie to, like, talk about stuff that I love, then cool. Like, but I'm also very biased to that nostalgia. Yeah. So
it's worth mentioning this next issue is the last one of this arc, of this run. 981's the last one. We got one more left.
Man, well, see, and also the fact that Tynion and Williamson are both like these big figures going forward, and stuff that pops up here and in Flash, it makes me very excited.
Yep. So, except that Tim's probably dead and he's not coming back. But other than that,
you know what though? As much as I like Tim, he's been a real pain in the ass since he's been back. So I would be willing to sacrifice him if it meant...
No, but that's the point. He's going to remember what he's supposed to be, and we're going to get a good Tim again.
And then he's going to die, and then he's going to have his costume in the Batcave in a memorial.
He's going to die before Connor comes back, and then Connor will have faint memories of some Tim from another timeline.
But you know what? The inverse of that, because Tim worked so hard to bring back Connor, and if you can have Connor doing the same for him, I'm not giving me an excuse to have a Connor Kent Booster Gold book.
We just killed Tim for a year and a half. I'm not doing it again. He
wasn't actually dead.
Let's be honest, I'm just trying to wind up Connor by telling him that Tim's going to be dead. That's all I'm doing.
Or another cool thing, you could have Tim die and then get brought back in one of the Lazarus pits, except he's brought back to serve the League of Assassins. Wait, they've already done that. Never mind. That was Jason.
Yes, it was. What was the other Robin, who we don't speak of, except when I'm forced to?
I'm just upsetting Tim fans so much right now. Here's another cool way Tim could die and not come back.
He's still the best Robin. I mean, but Damian is gaining on him. So,
Damien's great, don't get me wrong, but Tim's the best.
Anyway, let's move on. So Detective, really great, despite what that ginger over there says, the menace that he is. We'll move on to Wonder Woman number 46. James Robinson and Stephen Segovia is on the art. This is sort of a new arc, and what's interesting about this one, I think, in comparison to the rest of the Rebirth, is that this is actually going back to stuff that Rucka was doing. This is going back to Kale and Cheetah.
Oh God, he's not tainting the legacy of
and introducing dark gods into it.
It is a little bit. It's tainting a scotch.
He's doing the dark god stuff, the dark pantheon.
Yeah.
Oh damn it! I was hoping that was coming after.
I don't remember if it was somebody on Twitter or someone in the thread, but someone had made mention that at the end of Metal, all of those teases, each writer had So like Venditti gave them the Dark Star.
I get. They all pitched in for that.
Yeah, but I was hoping that it was teasing something that was coming after Robinson because I like the sound of that.
And
you're so negative like this week, Connor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to be negative about the Wonder Woman book that's been shot.
Well, no, I mean that's fair, but it's coming right after you somehow found a way to be more negative about Detective that we both liked.
I wasn't negative. I said it was pretty good.
Yeah. No, there was a tone.
But so this one, I got excited because Cheetah's back. We all know I
thought the Cheetah scenes were pretty good. To be fair, the Cheetah scenes themselves were good.
It doesn't feel the same.
It doesn't feel the same. Like I think
because of Rucka.
I don't think it's that bad though. I think the thing about this issue is it's easily the best issue it's had in a while, and I think it feels like a lesser version of Rucka's run, which is the biggest problem it has. But it is mostly enjoyable because it's like Cheetah's been captured by Kale. She's in the lab, and then it becomes this sort of action scene. And she's sort of like coming up the building for her. She's going through her security. She's going up the elevator shaft, and she finally gets there. And then Wonder Woman shows up. All of that worked well enough. Not as good as Rucka by any means. Not even a close, but it worked well enough as an action scene. Cheetah had presence. I was liking that stuff. Art was good. So,
Katega's back. Or Katanga, whatever his name was.
Yeah, she's referencing that. That's all good. And then Steve sets up the overall stuff that's going on, where people all over the planet are being affected. They think their gods are dead because the dark gods are influencing them, so it's making them go all crazy. Which sets up the cliffhanger where Supergirl shows up and punches Wonder Woman and says, "Rao is dead, and it's your fault," and so she's been controlled as well.
That's something that should excite me. Right?
It's a fun final page. I think it works well enough on its own. Of course, where it falls down completely is the 4 pages about 2/3 through where it cuts to Jason's plot. Because I was getting really hopeful. We got halfway through this issue and I was like, oh, maybe there's no Jason in this one. Maybe he's skipping this arc.
Besides the obvious problems with Jason, I feel like we never get to see him do cool stuff. We always come in right after he's done the cool stuff. I want to see him fight a legion of Cobra soldiers.
There's truth to that.
I don't.
No, but show me.
I want to see him lose to a legion of soldiers.
No, prove me wrong, Robinson, about why he sucks. Show me, oh no. And then he comes out and admits, oh, I can only use one power at a time, and I don't quite understand it. And it's well, I feel like Robinson doesn't have a take on this character that he basically created.
That's the Peter Petrelli thing in Heroes when they were like, oh, he's getting too powerful, let's nerf him. Only one power at a time.
But you can do that. There's a Legion superhero, Ultraman, Ultra Boy. That's his power. He can access multiple superpowers, but only one at a time. So with his Legion Flight Ring, he can fly and be strong, or this, that, and the other. There's a way to do it, but again, when you're just telling me he took out these Cobra guys to save his dad, who for some reason isn't dead, which Glaucus, who is immortal,
yeah, I don't care about any of this. I had a decent amount of fun with the Kale and Cheetah stuff. It does suffer from being okay, this was way better written when Rucka was doing it, but it's fine. Cheetah has presence, and I kind of like the cliffhanger with Supergirl. See,
I feel like I should have liked it, but then when I just
You're just worried about where it's going to go because this run's been such
I
get that.
If this was the first Robinson issue, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, what's going on?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Seeing what we just had, I'm very, don't drag Supergirl into this, please.
I know. I kind of have some of those worries as well. But I think on concept, and if I divorce myself from the rest of it, I like more of this issue than I dislike, which makes it easily the best issue of this run, and at least, that entire last arc was garbage, right? This is easily better than that entire last arc.
This was the first time So I don't want to say I was that positive on it, but like that Grail issue where you
Yeah.
see her with Baby Darkseid, and you had the art by
Lupacino.
Lupacino. I kept wanting to say Evely, but I was like, no, she hasn't been there for a while.
You're just projecting.
Yeah, wishful
Yes.
thinking there, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm dropping this physically for sure because I'm running out of room to store issues. I learned that after Free Comic Book Day, like trying to put stuff away. So
Need a warehouse.
I might get it digitally, or I might just read it at the shop and put it back on the wall. I don't know. So yeah.
Oh dear.
Do you know what the problem with that is, though? That would mean that this would be the first book you read that week.
Maybe. It usually is anyways, because I want to get it out of the way. It's like pulling off a Band-Aid. So, except for this week, because No Justice, clearly.
Yeah, you have to get the
Yeah.
big stuff.
Events first, because
I
I don't want some idiot to spoil it.
Here's the odd thing. I don't want to sound too positive on this, because I didn't like it that much, but like I definitely liked this the most than I have since the Silver Swan stuff.
I am gonna peek in to see what happens with Supergirl, but I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna talk about it.
If I'm going to critique the overall story, I do think we had to see more of other people going nuts because they think their gods are dead. Like this thing that's affecting everyone, because we hear it from Steve, but we don't really get to see much of it. It's just kind of heard about, and then Supergirl shows up at the end, and she's like, "Oh, Row's dead, and I'm going to hurt you for it."
What would have been cool if that character was around was Shazam, because he's powered by 7 different gods.
Yeah,
and
something there.
Like, that would have been super cool.
Something
or
there.
have Black Adam show up. That'd be cool too, but instead we get this.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say 2/3 of the issue weren't bad.
Yeah.
They were fine. That's
It's a ringing endorsement.
Hey, it's the best endorsement I've given it in a good 3 months. So,
That's
you know. I'll take what I can get. And the end's in sight. I know when it's ending now, so I'm like, okay. Lights at the end of the tunnel. I can see it
But
coming.
then you got an Orlando arc to sit through.
But then prices are going up. So if this is $3.99,
This is
I'm
true.
not.
That said, though,
That's why I dropped it physically anyways. So
the prices go up after he's done. So that's the one saving
It'll
grace.
be Orlando stuff, right?
Sorry?
The Orlando stuff will be $3.99.
Yeah, I'm talking about Robinson.
Yeah, but you're not really excited about
I can
Orlando.
justify that then. I took it off my pull list, but maybe I can still pick it up. Just I don't know. But then again, I have a space issue, so I don't man. I don't know.
Digital's the way, Matt. Digital's the way.
That was a problem.
Yeah, Matt has many problems. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to The Flash, number 46, Joshua Williamson writing, Scott Kolins on the art. This is the prelude issue before Flash War kicks off, with narration by one Hunter Zolomon, a.k.a. Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Can we just this starts with "In Times Forgotten"?
It does, yeah.
Ooh, hello.
Yeah, that immediately. This is the thing. Zoom seems to know everything from the timeline. He seems to know, he's got all the memories.
Yeah.
Right? That's first and foremost. And we find out that in this, in the current sort of post-Flashpoint New 52 timeline that we're still in, that Thawne showed up and, broke him out of prison and, rescued him. And then actually healed him in the future. And helped him set all this stuff up with the Renegades and all the rest of it. And they were working side by side, and he's so this is a whole thing. And we actually see later on when it goes back to him in the future that he Thawne eventually got sick of waiting for the plans to work out, that he sped off to do his own thing. And then we see that Zolomon sees his death, so he sees so this stuff was all happening mostly before the button, and then he sees him die in the button, and now we're kind of in roughly the build up to now. Where he's getting ready to do his thing. So that was all their stuff, and I really, obviously that was exciting. But I think the emotion of the Wally stuff is really where the issue shines more than anything.
Wally cannot catch a break, whether it's his non-existential or non-existent heart problem that's now gone.
Let's retcon that out of existence. Thank you.
That's fine. To the Linda stuff, to now him having negative effects on people,
Yeah, especially himself. He's struggling to deal with his own memories. But I love that we see they go to Zatanna. It's not magical. They go to Martian Manhunter. Yeah. Oh, I've seen Martians have these sort of psychic issues before. They had to go into solitude until they
just wait it out a few centuries.
Yeah, a few centuries. Jessica tries to read it with a ring, and I'm like, oh, I guess that especially made me smell. I'm like, oh, Wally is definitely ever in the history of DC Comics interacting with Jessica Cruz. So that's a fun idea, even if we don't actually get to see them speak to each other.
Yeah, so, no, but they're there. That's good.
That's fun. And then they go to cyborgs, Silas Stone to get him scanned and medical equipment and all the rest of it. He gets quite angry, he freaks out, and he has this weird vision at one point where he sees Cyborg looking different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's all gold.
All gold. Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you think of that.
I didn't recognize it. At first I was like, is this supposed to be like a glimpse from a past timeline, and I'm just not recognizing this?
Yeah, but it's clearly Cyborg.
Yeah, Wally was on the Teen Titans, of course, with Cyborg for a long time, so I wonder if this is just a part of a reference to a new Teen Titans thing that I've not read.
That's what I was thinking. It's
possible.
Is this a reference to something that I just don't know?
Yeah, some story that happened where he was all gold for some reason. It's possible. I mean, people can let us know if you're catching a reference.
It kind of looked like a bleed effect, the memories are leaking out. We get more of that later in the issue.
Yeah, and Wally
these memories leaking out to reality.
Yeah, Wally speeds off, so then Barry speeds off to try and fix it, and he goes to Bruce for advice. He wants to talk to Bruce about how he deals with having the kids, and that includes Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, all of them. How does he cope with the stress of them being around? And Bruce isn't there. Bruce is out with Selina. And actually, I thought it was funny, the reference to the Poison Ivy arc in Batman here.
Yep.
He's like, maybe you want some reprieval for the for being taken out during the Poison Ivy incident. But I love that he actually gets that advice from Alfred. Alfred's like, hey, Master Bruce does worry, and that's part of being a parent, and
And then he cleans up after himself.
Yeah, because he smashes the monitor in frustration. So he's like, "Oh, sorry, Alfred. Let me fix that for a second." And Alfred's like, "No one ever cleans up after themselves around here."
Let me just put all these glass shards back together.
Yeah. Speed Force.
It's Speed Force, bro. So we have that, but obviously the big emotional thing. So we have a bit more of a future thing with Zolman narrating, but the big thing is that he compares Wally to Eobard because he says, "Oh, you're kind of similar in that they always run off and they go to places from their past to try and cool down." And we see Wally go to the old houses and stuff like that. And he goes to the Flash Museum, and obviously we're seeing things here that are good little teases. We see the old Justice League logo. Did you notice that they actually credited the decades or the years on the statue with Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze, and Present, I assume?
Bronze and... Present or Platinum, whatever they want to call it.
Sure. Or, well, I was thinking Present because it was 2006. Had it been... Because, I mean, you could argue post-crisis, but then technically 86 is the start of post-crisis, so it doesn't quite...
Did we shift it to a postmodern?
Postmodern, there you go.
Did too. But 86 to 06 was Wally's golden age as the Flash.
Yeah, it was.
That was when he was,
that was his time.
Him fighting Cobra.
Well, I think that's the point. The first era is Jay, the second era is Barry, and so on.
Barry.
But so Barry shows up though, and he's like, "Oh yeah, come here," and he's like, "Why here?" He's like, "Oh, the Flash Museum," and he's like, "Wally," and then you turn the page. And there's nothing there. It's an empty worksite. He is seeing...
Because I was questioning, I was like, why is all this stuff here? We've had no reference to this.
Yeah, but look on that statue of the Flashes, and that's Bart.
Yeah, that's an Impulse. Yeah, that's Impulse.
That's why I was so confused. I was like, wait,
what?
You have no reference to any of this stuff.
Which is why it's a neat little twist that it's not really here. He's remembering this from the previous timeline.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
It's the bleed effect I was talking about with Cyborg.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, so why I assumed he's projecting a memory from a timeline onto Cyborg, and I'm just not familiar with whatever that story was.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And Barry gives him a pep talk, and this is probably the art's at its best in the issue. Is Wally's freaking out, and then the rain in the following page, and it's like, so I mean, it doesn't actually resolve anything. He's still in the same place, and Barry's just trying to help him. And that's basically it for the Flashes, but it's just that emotional thing. But I love the next page when they run off together. It's like, hey, come on, let's go run and cool off. We have that great 3-panel sequence at the bottom where it's like the echo of the Flash Museum where it fades in, then we see it, and then it fades back out.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
It's almost like he's anchoring things to reality. In the same way he can physically change people and give them their memories back, can he affect the physical world in the same way?
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, Zolomon is basically given up in the making the Flashes better. He's given up in that now. So he ends, he's in costume, and I forgot, had you asked me just off the top of my head, what's the difference between, you know, Thawne and Zolomon's costume, I might not have remembered, but as soon as I saw those big black triangles over the eyes, I was like, oh yeah, this is the Zoom costume. Right, we're into this.
Yep. Well, I like that they tied them together finally, and I like how Zoom decided, he's like, well, I'm going to go deal with Barry for the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, just that, as a longtime Flash fan, holy crap.
No, that's what's hitting everything.
It's not going to end well for somebody.
Oh, absolutely. I love this. This was, and I've been loving Flash. I feel like it's been just going strength to strength. I am so hyped for Flash War.
Oh. Yeah, one of my friends like, oh, Flash hasn't been that good. And I was like, you read Valiant comics, just enough. Like, and
that was a weird dig to Valiant when I hear people quit like those.
At my shop, he's the only person that orders them.
I've read a bunch of Valiant stuff in the trades, and what I've read has been average to pretty damn good.
Yeah, I felt that was an unqualified dig.
Yeah, but it's the one thing I go to with him going, like, look, oh yeah, but it's not the best Williamson thing. Deathbed's better. It's like, it might be good, but you don't care about the Flash like I do. So, like, it's been great in this build-up. So
it has, yeah.
Yeah, it's been
and he's also like 3 issues behind. I was like, well, get through them.
I feel like Williamson was like trying to do a lot of his own thing, and he was holding off and going into the past of the Flash. He was holding off and like digging into Wally and possibly Jay, possibly Bart, possibly timelines.
I think it has a bit more meaning because of it, because it's not just, oh, we did this because we can, right at the start of Rebirth. Where it's easy to write it off as that because it's, oh, this is what the people want. Whereas he's like, no, I'm establishing my run and what I actually want to do with the story.
And it's very similar to what Johns did, where he came in and created a whole new thing for Wally and didn't really start dealing with the legacy issues until later into his run. Yeah. And he gave us all these new villains. So, you know, Williamson gave us, you know, the Negative Speed Force. He gave us Godspeed. You know, he's done his version of the Rogues and how they fit in all this.
On that comparison with Johns, I think it's worth noting that, Williamson is a fan of Johns. That's the stuff he enjoyed
vice versa.
Reading.
You know,
right?
Johns hand-selected him.
But that was the stuff he enjoyed reading. So those structural things, it's kind of like that's the inspiration. It makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes
sense. And then having Kolins on art too makes it feel like a throwback to that era. Yeah. So that only helps. And it can't be a coincidence that you bring in Kolins and when it's time to do the legacy, and they have the Flash Museum and Barry referenced and all this other stuff. Like.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I think if you're a Flash fan, this is starting to really poke at things that are making you tingle. You're like, oh yes. And let's not gloss over the fact that Iris has memories. Iris says that, it's not like she just has all her memories back in one lump, but she has
I like how she explained it.
Yeah, it's like fragments of movies that she saw one time. She's like getting glimpses, and I'm like...
They're in there.
And the question is then, well, do you remember being married? Like, is that one of the things you remember right now?
Do you remember going off to the future and having kids? And
here's the thing, like, will she go through things where, oh, that'll trigger a memory? It's like, they're in there now, but they're not all like accessible. But she sees something, and then it's like, oh, get a flash of a memory. And in the same way, memory actually does work. So you see something, and it links, and that's how you remember.
But at the very least, at the end of the last issue, she did ask Wally, where's everyone else? So she does remember other people who aren't here anymore. At the very least,
absolutely. We just don't know who exactly she's referring to.
And maybe Wally will ask her to start a Flash War and finds out about his kids, because I think we know that he's going to find out about his kids in Flash War. That's the one thing we know, other than boring.
And the idea with Zoom being involved too makes me uneasy.
I think that's the question though: is does Iris tell him about the kids, or does Zoom?
Oh God,
Zoom has his full memories. Iris doesn't. Remember, so until Zoom shows up and reactivates them. No,
I'm just thinking because Iris, she's saying, "Oh, where's everyone else?" She could be referring to the kids for all we know.
And here's the thing: when Zoom does show up, because we know Wally doesn't remember everything, does he remember that Zoom basically murdered his kids before they were born? And he did eventually get them back, of course. If you've not read Johns' run, that's a whole big thing. But for a time, we have this thing where where Zoom wanted to give Wally a tragedy because he never had the tragedy that Barry did, where his mother died.
Yep.
He wanted to give him a tragedy, and he did that by trying to kill his pregnant wife. And he didn't kill Linda, but he did kill the kids. And timey-wimey Flash stuff happened later on, and we got the kids back, and they were already like a few years old, and that was fun. But does he remember that attempt?
Yeah, little Iris and Kai, and
Iris 2, as she's often referred to as.
Yeah.
Who becomes the new Impulse.
Yeah.
Want all of it. Let's do it.
Yep. Again, my favorite era of comics. Like, it's all... And I know it's just directly playing into my nostalgia, like, but still, it was my favorite era for a reason. Like, all the stuff that happened, I hold really dear.
Can I just point out that during No Justice and Man of Steel, we've also got Flash War going on at the same time.
Yeah.
That's going on.
Do you know what? You know, we always talk about the summer events for comics, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, we don't really have that this year. We've got, No Justice and Man of Steel. They're like, okay, there's some miniseries, but they're not like the big traditional blockbuster events, right?
What's funny is I feel like Justice League itself just feels like it's going to cover the event stuff anyway on its own.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
and that's cool.
But between as much as I'm not personally excited for the Bendis stuff, it's a big deal. It's like, okay, no, that Flash War, Justice League, I know they're making a statement.
Well, the fact that it's getting a miniseries before makes it feel like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like
that's why it's like
just coming to DC wasn't big enough. It's like, well, here's his take on Superman.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, if you're pissed about the price going up, yeah, it does suck, but look at all the exciting stuff that's happened. It's not like the books are stagnating.
I've been saying it for a little while. It was starting to feel like the books were getting not stale, but okay, I knew what to expect. I knew where I stood with each books every week. And then it's like they've gone, Joe, what? It's been 2 years. It's time to shake it up a bit. Yeah. And here they are. They're shaking it up big time, and it's really exciting.
Now that'll take us on to New Superman and the Justice League of China, so you can take a break, Connor. This is issue 23. Gene Luen Yang writing, Brent Peeples on the art. So we've been digging this, Matt. How did you feel about this issue?
Oh, man. Dragon Son. I love this character so much.
Who's the North Korean Aquaman, just in case you've not been following along.
They really balanced how he's like Aquaman, to where he's a son of two worlds, and how he's going to have trouble bridging that.
Also,
and then
just before we talk about the book proper, actually, I just want to mention the variant cover, which has like, well, maybe not all, but a lot of Asian DC characters. Like Cassie Kane's on there, Katana's on the cover. It's cool. But anyway,
but no, and we also got Kenan as the All Yang version, which that was a nice pull.
And he ends up getting trapped by the Green Lanterns. I mean, Avery's even helping them because he's going to kill people, and then he gains focus again, and then he becomes the opposite. He becomes the Yang version of himself.
Yeah, the All Yin.
Which is like an all black suit, and it's actually quite funny when he does it. Avery's like, "How many versions of your costume do you have, man?"
Yeah. But then it's all about the balance, and I like how Kenan learns. Like, sometimes you have to tap in to all the aggression, or sometimes you have to tap into being completely passive. And I like what it led there when he's talking to I Ching about that. How he can shift, and if I can shift, you might be able to shift too. So
he's basically hinting that maybe in the last issue, because the next issue is the last issue of the book, that he might be able to bring him back somehow, so he's not trapped in there. And it does feel, and I like that this ends the arc, and the last issue will be a standalone, because it means it's more of a send off rather than just wrapping up the arc. Time to say goodbye to the characters.
Yeah, but I don't want it to. I need these characters.
Oh, of course. Of course. I wanted. What if the fourth team in the Hall of Justice is the Chinese Justice League? Why not? Let's do it.
But see, I look at that and go, well, why would they need? Oh, they could have a portal to the U.S., but why did they need there? They're Asia's. They need to be over there. You know what I mean?
True. To discuss when there's a world-ending event coming.
True. And that would be like the Justice League Europe days.
I could jump in here of the reason why is to kind of show support, as in, no, they're officially licensed. So
because now they're kind of like rogue, where they're just kind of formed and they just exist.
It would be like the Justice League acknowledging, no, they are their own thing, but we acknowledge that they are allowed to use the name. And that's why the Hall of Justice, because it's not a JLA, right? It's, okay, Hall of Justice is, they're a Justice League. They get
that makes a lot of sense.
They get the full rights of all the teams.
That makes some sense. So obviously, basically, dragon son kind of fights from within and realizes he doesn't want to drown people, and he like realizes that the water's coming from him, so he just kind of like basically rebels. And my comics all just being weird. I'm getting like some black pages here rather than the pages themselves.
Mine was doing that earlier, and I had to restart it.
It does it every so often, yeah. It does just a weird glitch, but so I'm some pages I'm not getting, annoyingly. but
so he finds out the water's coming from himself, and then he stuffs it so he could show that mercy. Like, we don't. Yeah, I can be your son, but not have to exact your will. I can do it in other ways. And there's a nice story it kicks off the book of this family, and the two kids are fighting, and they end up, almost drowning.
And of course, one's the aggressive big brother, one's the passive little one, and they end up getting saved by Wonder Woman and Batman, and that's the whole thing. No, it's a fun show, and I just want to say, we've been saying this a lot, but Brent Peeples' art's very good. I feel like it's really like every page with the dragon's son looks fantastic, especially. It's really good stuff, and the characters are all popping and bouncing off of each other. There's a little subplot where we left Bakshi in like the crab shell, the prison, and his sister, who's kind of like his Joker, Alpaca, sort of helps him escape, and he's trying to like talk her back over from the dark side, and it's not quite working. But so that's there.
Yeah, but there was a overarching theme in this one too about brotherhood, for lack of a better term, of unity between people, and whether if that's meant to show with what's going on in Korea currently and how they've been divided for so long, and they're the same people,
and
with
hopefully not for much longer, seemingly.
Yeah, and I felt like when you said about the aggressive brother and the passive one, that also goes to the yin and the yang. And there's this dichotomy throughout this whole issue.
I never even thought of that, but given that we're dealing with a Korean character, that actually thematically makes sense to tie that into it. That's not bad.
But and then you have the stuff with Baishi and Alpaca that's there too, and and even Keenan's parents go down that route too. So there's been this sense of division between them that I feel like unity is the theme of this book.
I'm sad the book's ending because I love it a lot, and I think it's a great own little corner of the universe. On the other hand, though, it's like, okay, there's a lot of new books starting that I want to get, so I mean, at least from a financial point of view, I can be glad it's ending, but I am sad to see it go because it's been really good. So
I agree with everything.
No, it's great. So if you haven't checked it out, by all means, it does feel like it's going to be a complete run, a complete story with an ending. So do check out the trades. The first 3 I'm sure are out, or at least the first 2 will be, and the third one will be out soon. But there'll be 4 trades in total.
I plan on reading through it all myself once it's over.
It's good stuff. So we'll move on then to Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 44, aka the section of the show where you two make me feel bad that I've not caught up because it's suddenly very good towards the end. But
so here's my take always on Venditti has been, he'll do these arcs and then he'll lose me and then he'll pull me right back in. And I feel like a lot of writers nowadays, they don't know how to end a story. I feel like that's all Venditti knows how to do, because I remember the ends of his stories so well because they're so impactful. And here I feel he's ending his entire run.
So I was on my own last issue. So I ended with the 4 Earthmen going off to find help in different places.
And one of them seemed to be Zod, which was my like, oh god, this sounds good.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And this issue is basically just them going to, okay, who's where, and who have they gone to, essentially. So we start with Hal on Earth. Well, I mean, we have a little flash first. It's still on Earth in Iron Heights of Tomar Ray appearing as the Dark Star.
So he comes down, he's at Iron Heights, and Goldface is in there. And we all know that Goldface is responsible for the death of his father, Tomar Ray, because Tomar 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, those Zudarians need to come up with better naming things.
I know, I'm confused. 2, Ray, it's like, which one's which? They're so interchangeable, aren't they?
And he fully incinerates Goldface, he is Judge Dredd. He's Judge, Jury, and Executioner, and takes him completely out. And so then Hal's there, and he's investigating. Barry shows up, which is cool because, of course, they're in Iron Heights. And he fills him kind of in what's going on with the Dark Stars, and I had forgot how Goldface had killed Tomar Ray, and it was during Crisis.
Yes.
And, Coldface had a bit of a heel turn when he was supposed to be a good guy and attacked Tomore.
Choked him out.
Yeah, and so that was a nice little reminder. But he has a talk with
Barry, yeah, because we move on to the moral quandary which we were dealing with over the last few issues is the Dark Stars kill people, and is that for the better? Like we had John Stewart kind of address this a couple of issues ago of maybe, and this is Hal basically saying, hey, I've considered this at the time. What sort of hero does that make me?
Yeah. Well, and then it also reminds me of the time that Barry snapped Reverse Flash's neck for all of his crimes.
Obviously, we don't get referenced here, but Barry's like, hey, ultimately, you're a cop, and obviously Barry can relate to that, being in that field himself, and he's like, every cop thinks about it at some point that this would be easier. There'd be no more villains escaping. It would just save so much time, so many lives if we could just put them down, but ultimately we don't. There's a process, but it's okay to consider it.
But you think about that because of the job that you have. Yeah. But what makes you able to ride that line is the fact that you know what's wrong and what's right.
Yeah.
And that's why you wear that ring, basically. And so it was really nice. I like any time that we can have Hal and Barry interact, and it doesn't feel forced. This all felt very right because of the gold face tie and him being in Nine Heights. But we get to Guy, and he's going to get his friend.
Well, I mean, it's we don't actually know, because Hal doesn't seem to be there to recruit Barry for the help. He just Gold. He heard about Gold Star and happened to check in. So I'm not entirely sure who he is there to recruit still. Yeah. Unless you know better, you any guesses?
Oh yeah, definitely. Hold on, let me see if it was. No, they reveal it because he's there.
Is that at the end? Oh yeah, you're at the end. I'm thinking at the start of this bit. Yeah,
I won't spoil it yet. But as soon as I saw a guy in a bar, I knew exactly what he was doing. I knew exactly who he was going to go get. And so he goes to this bar where apparently he's supposed to be banned. But he's like, well, if you want to ban me, go ahead and throw me out.
Yeah, he goes, last time you and your big friend fought the whole bar. I was like, oh, I know where this is going.
I love it so much. And Arkillo's there.
Yeah.
Yep. And he shows up and they have a beer together. And he explains what's going on.
They have a monthly meet up to have a beer together. Like even though the two cores are they're at odds again, the two of them still meet up and have a beer.
If you would have told me 2 years ago that Arkillo would have been one of my favorite supporting characters, I'd been like the dude with no tongue. That's all like Sinestro is. I know. But through Venditti's run, it's made him really fun.
It has. His pairing with Guy has been fantastic.
It's perfect. So he tells him about the Dark Stars and that he's going to need his help going forward, and I need some of your crew.
I assume Arkillo's going to kind of go and try and bring some of the rest of the Yellows with him as well.
Mm-hmm. Because the Dark Stars are going to be on their turf too. Like, they might have a little bit more in common with the Dark Stars, but they're still more about fear and power that way. Like, I always feel like if Sinestro doesn't have to kill, he won't. Because Sinestro's always been like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones to me, to where he'd rather have other people do the dirty work for him, and if that's somebody that he could trade their life for a favor, then he'd rather do that.
Always step in if he has to, but he'd rather do the political maneuvering.
Exactly, and so I feel like the Dark Stars are going to get in on that, and that's where the Yellows are going to be motivated to, hey, you guys are on our turf, cut it out. Yeah,
pretty much. And so then, of course, we jump over to Kyle, who meets up with our old friend Space Cabbie.
I love that that's a thing. I love it.
Yeah, again, that bringing stuff back from earlier in the run. We had a whole thing with Space Cabbie a bit ago, which was fun.
Yep.
And
he's weaving this. Yeah. Well, he has like a quilt, and he's putting it together finally, and all the pieces are coming into place. And I was like, oh, you remember I brought in Space Cabbie, and you remember that split between the greens and yellows? Here, this is all going forward and important.
The Kyle one is ultimately the least interesting, I think, because it's the one that's the least exciting part of the run. Because ultimately, Space Cabbie's had an upgrade with his cab, and it's got a mother box integrated now. Yeah. So he jumps over to see the new gods and get Orion, based on that stuff, that arc we had
That
with them
arc.
before.
Well, it's like, yo, we saved your life, you owe us. So
Yeah, it makes sense in context of the run, but that was one of the least exciting points. So it's like,
Definitely.
okay, fine. I guess you've got to do it.
And we all know how I felt about the last Zod arc. Like, I was kind of out by the time it was a little bit too long. And I love Guy and Arkello. So if you had told me my favorite part involves Zod and not Guy, I would have been like, no.
You've
But
got
John goes
going up there,
yeah.
and just
So here's my thing. I understand that John was, dispatch, and he was trying to control things with the Guardians. But if he's your number one diplomat, why did you send him to Jakul to begin with?
yeah. I
With
mean,
all of
he's
this?
trying to delegate, I guess. Good leader.
I guess, but it caused more problems than him
It
just
did,
going
yeah.
there. Because he gets so much more done here until Zod decides to become Zod and act out.
Yeah,
But he's talking with the family of Zod, or the House of Zod, and they're just throwing shade at him. Like,
and he's trying.
yeah. And so he goes, Zod's like, no, I'll listen to you talk, but you miscalculated. And he goes to attack him. And
Joe, what was it? A codename Fist Bump.
executive package, codename Fist Bump, guide me in. And it looks like he's got this basically brass knuckle set made out of green energy. And he, as Zod's coming in to punch him, he counter punches
and breaks Zod's
hand. And he's like, there's no way how we did that. It's just a Green Lantern. And you come to find out, like, oh no, that was no construct. He borrowed some kryptonite. He knew what he was up to.
Yeah, there was in the evidence vault on Mogo,
Yep.
which
Are you listening now, General?
Just a question. Where Zod is just now, is there a yellow sun?
Yes.
The two
Okay.
yellow suns.
Two.
Two,
It's
okay,
even
fair
worse.
enough.
Yeah.
he's
So-
twice the Superman.
Yeah, well, and that's what he tells him. He goes, I'm powered by the two yellow suns. You're foolish to come here by yourself. And that's where he goes, okay. And then he goes, codename Fist Bump. And the ring guides him in.
I was just asking because if it wasn't, then this wasn't that impressive.
No. This is he's at peak power. You've got him there in his royal chambers. It's actually like a throne room, and he's on his thing. You got Eradicator kind of just floating in the background still. They're all there, just waiting. This is essentially New Krypton as far as Zod's concerned.
Yeah, a bunch of poozers. Never be Krypton. But and then we jump back to Hal.
Yeah.
And he's on Earth, and he's at Strikers in Metropolis, and he's there for Hector Hammond, which goes back to one of the first arcs, right, with the little gremlin characters.
Yeah.
With Hammond, and they tried to do all that, and I don't think he ever finished that arc, but I mean that's okay, because I understand Hector Hammond as a character, and he's got the big head, and he's psychic. We saw him in No Justice.
That's the thing, because he's such a staple of the mythos anyway. You don't need to have seen anything Venditti's done in particular. No. Whereas Arkelo, sure, you know he is, but it's all about the relationship with Guy. The Zod stuff, you might be familiar with Zod, but again, it's about what's gone on in the run.
Mm-hmm. And even with the New Gods, that's how it goes with the run.
Yeah.
So here, it's a little less so, but you get like, if he's going to release Hector Hammond, it's
things are bad.
Stuff. Yeah,
he doesn't quite get there in time. I mean, he cuts the cords to Hammond that are holding him down, but then he gets a blast in the back, and who should step in but Atomic Skull?
Yeah, because
yeah,
I'm the warden here.
Yeah, basically that's it. You're under arrest. That's the cliffhanger for the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a pretty great issue with the way that it kind of is the greatest hits of the run, but it feels like it's really building up for the end.
I'm going to take the moment right now, and all the complaining I do at Connor for getting me back in. I thank him for it now, because this is so much fun.
Don't wax his ego.
I give credit where credit's due. Yeah,
it's like I said, it's had its up and downs, but when this book lands, it lands so good.
Yeah, I've quit for arcs and listen and go, oh man, that would be kind of cool. And then I go back and read them. So, but this has made it all worth it. I like that he's bringing it all together, and it feels like whatever happens after this will be a new era. Kind of how Venditti's was a new era from John's.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, this has never reached the heights of that previous run. No. But I think at the end now it's safe to say, Venditti's left his mark, and You know, these greatest hits, they're all varied stories that he's done, and you know, it's like, okay, there's been some genuine, real great stuff in this run.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we'll move on. Move on to Sideways number 4, which I am the only one reading, I believe, at this point. It's a shame that no one else is reading it because I think it keeps getting better. I like this issue quite a bit. So this was Dan Didio and Justin Jordan writing, and Kenneth Rocafort on the art. 4 issues in a row. Same artist in this book.
I think that might be a record for this.
Yeah, but Rocafort's known for being consistent, so that's
Rocafort's great.
Yeah, it's just funny though because every other New Age book's not been able to achieve that, even close to that at this point.
What about Damage? Did Damage have all of them by Daniel?
No, I don't think so.
No, I switched after 3 issues.
Because Daniel moved to do the Batman.
Yeah. I don't even know if he did the third issue.
Right.
I think he was meant to do 3, and then I think it may have changed. So basically, this issue, Sideways is to say, you know what, I want to get some notoriety. Thank you. Notoriety. Right. But so he's like, hey, I'm just going to go. I'm going to rift over here. This fight's on hotspots, fighting this villain called Replicant. I'm going to go in. I'm going to save the day, and people can see me. I'll be famous, and people will know who Sideways is. And Ernie's like, no, this is stupid. This is dangerous. You should at least Google who this villain is first to find out what he can do. He's like, no, I'll be fine. He should Google me. I'm Sideways. I got rifting powers. So he's all cocky, and he teleports off to the city and gets in the middle of this fight. And what I love between this issue and last issue is that stuff keeps happening that's surprisingly violent. Like, remember last issue, the arm was cut off in the rift?
Yeah.
This issue, they're using these powers in fun ways. Hotspot fires like flames at him, and he opens a rift in front of his face, and then opens the sort of the exit of the rift behind the villain's head. So the flames come out from behind him and set him on fire, and he literally is set on fire. And he's like, "Oh shit! I set him on fire!" And he has to run over to there's the fire engine that's nearby and get the hose. He's like, "Sorry, workers, I have to steal your hose," and he puts them out. It's becoming this running gag that he keeps accidentally doing really violent things to villains.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it. This is a great running gag. Keep doing it. And he's like, "Shit, Ernie's going to kill me. I set someone on fire."
I feel like that needs to come back and just again.
Oh yeah.
It needs the again at the end to really make it funny.
Mm-hmm. So I'm digging it. I'm digging his relationship with Ernie, and the fact that he keeps screwing up. He's like such a useless. And it's funny. So Replicant basically steals powers. Like he copies your power, and he doesn't know how to use rifting properly. So he ends up with the rift power, and he actually touches himself while rifting. That sounds really dirty, but.
Yeah, it does.
Basically, he's like, no, that's a bad idea. He shouldn't be touching himself while rifting, and it basically makes him explode into like almost like a balloon. Like it's like a multicolored balloon popping.
Does it give a reason why you shouldn't touch yourself?
Not as of yet. It's seemingly he just knows that you shouldn't be doing that yet. So I imagine
I feel like I'd be really intrigued to see how he learnt that.
I feel like it'll probably come up. Maybe he'll go into the rules a little bit more because he's about to be trained. Because when he gets home, the big sort of god guy that he met in the first issue is there. He's like, oh, it's time for your training. The rifting between worlds is starting to, happen too frequently. It's time for your training. So they're clearly setting up that he's going to learn more about his powers and stuff from a mentor. So we've had a bit of like him just sort of like stumbling around learning things.
Yeah.
With his best friend who made his costume. Meanwhile, his mother, who's trying to get him an internship where she works at this big corporation, and we know that the evil villain boss has been spying on him, and she knows that he's Sideways. He doesn't show up because he thinks it's just a lunch date, and he ends up getting too distracted with the crime fighting, which actually had a really funny little ironic cut between panels because it ends a page where Aaron's like, "Hey, well, don't you have lunch with your mother? You should go there." He's like, "Hey, I'll be fine. I need to be there at 2. Everything will be fine." And then he turned the page, and she's like, oh, "He's meant to be here at 1. He's running late. Where is he?" So that was a funny little cut. It's building the characters. Plus, Rocafort's art's great. I'm digging it. I feel like as I'm seeing more of it, I'm reading more of it, the supporting cast is building up kind of nice. I'm really liking the inventive use of the powers and just how bizarrely like violent he ends up screwing up, which has now been a running gag for a couple of issues.
Yeah.
So I'm digging that. An evil villain lady who's kind of Veronica Cale but not. Possibly more evil.
Not really, yeah.
It depends. I I don't know what her motivation is yet. She might not be, because at least with Veronica Cale, she has this tragic backstory that leads to why she is the way she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
this just always sounds like what Blue Beetle should have been. You know, like
kinda. Yeah, there's a little bit of that in there. Yeah. The stuff I liked.
Because I went back and tried to read, and I couldn't get through the first issue, just because I was tired, and then I got bogged down with this week's books. So I'm gonna try to go back to it. I have them.
Yeah.
I have issues 1 and 3.
Yeah.
So.
I'm digging the kind of, because DC did kind of like why I wanted to like Blue Beetle as much as I did, is that DC doesn't have the naive teenage superhero on their own that this kind of is, where he's just trying to figure things out. You've got the evil boss lady's kind of like scheming. The mum's in for an interview at one point, and she has a scientist kind of scan the room to see if she's got any dark energy on her, and like, no, we need the sun, we need him. So they're keeping track of him. It's like, oh yeah, let's get to him, and let nothing stand in our way. So it's all maniacal at the end. But I'm really digging. He's got the wit of Spider-Man. Obviously, we compare him in his DC Spider-Man, but he does have the jokes. Yeah. He cracks the jokes when he's out and about. And then I think his powers are quite inventive, though. I feel like between this issue and last, they've done some different things. They've established that the edge of the rift is rock solid. So he used it to trip someone up last time. They've established that it can cut off limbs. Right. They've established that it can do this. And now they've established in this one that he can't touch himself while rifting. That could lead to something happening bad. So, they're building it a little bit. I'm digging it. I feel like I've liked each issue more. I'm at the point now where, no, I like this book. I'll stamp it. I like this book.
Good.
It's one of 3 Dark Matter or New Age of Heroes books that I like. I like 3 of them. The drop off after those.
The New Age of Dark Matter heroes.
Yeah, the drop off after the 3 I like is pretty severe, but I do quite like 3 of them. Terrifics is number 1. Don't get me wrong. Terrifics is easily the standout for me, but Silencer and Sideways I think are both really solid. I'm digging them.
Good.
And I read like 2 preview pages of Immortal Men and said, you know what, I'm not feeling it.
That's the thing. I feel like I could probably go back and read Immortal Men and get something out of it. Whereas, there's no way I'm reading another issue of Brimstone. There's no way I'm reading another issue of Damage. I'm just not. Whereas, I was quite tired. I'm in bed. I fell asleep reading it, but I didn't hate what I read before I fell asleep. So I could go back and read it.
I mean, to be honest though, out of 8-9 books total once they're all out, like, I'll take liking 3 of them. That's a good. Yeah. Out of all these new characters that are basically all brand spanking new for the most part,
just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, essentially.
Basically, but a few things stuck, and I'm okay with that.
And we got more to come still.
We do. We got the unexpected, but I'm mad at Orlando for what he did to the final issue of Supergirl.
Yeah, but we got new challenges.
We got new challenges, which is already confirmed to be a mini. So
yeah, I'm excited for that one still.
I think that's next week.
That said, by the time that actually finishes, I imagine that a lot of the other books will be cancelled around then anyway. It just so happens that New Challenger started late, that the other books got maybe 12 in total. But there you go. So, I'm digging Sideways. I recommend it. Which does take us on to the last new book of the week, which is Batman White Knight number 8, Sean Murphy doing all the things. And obviously you two have been really loving this. I've liked it, but I've been sort of looking at it more of like a sort of schlocky B-movie kind of thing. This issue, I feel kind of the same way. I think the action's great. All the Batmobile stuff is great. I like how it ends. The actual final big ending, the emotional stuff when he finally reads Alfred's letter, with Dick and Babs. That hit me. I was almost watering, get my eyes watering. Just because Batman, Alfred being sad, all of it just hits. But there is a page in this that almost made me vomit. With how it was a line of dialogue where Napier says to Harley, "You saw the real truth, that deep down underneath it all there was a good man. Piss off! No." But
I think this book has showed that there was.
It's fun in this version of the Joker, yes, because we know that he didn't kill Jason Todd even. So yeah.
Okay, sure, but I don't know.
Not for general continuity, sure, but for context of this book, that lands.
Yep.
They've never sold me that he's actually good, though. I've never. This is the reason why the book's never landed for me quite in the same way that it has with you two. They have never sold me in the idea that the Joker is actually a good person deep down.
Well, I think it has for me, because I think Napier, as much as he's been sketchy in his methods, Napier has legitimately been doing good for the city in his way. But
it was too quick. There was like a light switch. It was these magic pills, and all of a sudden he's better. I don't know. They never sold me on it.
Yeah, so my main problem with this one is the revelation at the end about who's actually behind everything.
Yeah, OOG
And
Harley is actually the one who designed the pills, lured them to the pill
I
factory.
wish, and I wish there was a little bit more of seeding throughout. And I know Batman was a little bit predisposed, right, with everything that was going on, but I would have liked some hints throughout because here it just
That's fair. I actually like the reveal itself, though. I like that. Okay, this Harley is actually that involved. Yeah.
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 And and I like what she tells the Neo Joker about like, no, I loved him, for reals. Like I saw deep down what was there. You came on afterwards, and you didn't like when he became something else.
It's the idea of, in a way, it's celebrity worship, right? It's the someone actually knowing the person, like, and then versus just the image of what the public perception, which is the difference between Harley and Neo Joker.
Yep. So I saw that.
I like the action stuff with the Batmobiles. Mr. Freeze working with them, getting to the cannon. Even like, that's why I gave her the tumbler, because she has to jump, and then the tumbler goes flying through the air.
Well, the fact that they called it the tumbler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the payoff with the tumbler of the bike.
All the Mad Max stuff. Honestly, see if the sequel to this is just like Batman Fury Road, I will be so into that.
See, I don't know if it's going to be. I kept saying I want more of this, and it seems like Snyder
Murphy.
That was a slip. Murphy is going to be doing more, so I'm excited for this world and seeing more of it.
I'll tell you what, though, I could really do with them just being away from Napier for the next story, whatever it is.
Well, and I think they will. I think where it's going is because at the end we get that Batman's like, no, everyone was kind of right. Like, I was right in a certain way, but
he's with Gordon. It's worth mentioning. He's having like a heart-to-heart with Gordon. They're kind of reconciling after all the stuff that's happened.
Yeah. And he tells him, I used to think that I wore this mask to scare other people, but I think wearing this mask has scared me. And he takes off the mask and reveals himself to Gordon as Bruce Wayne.
And he says he's going to reveal to everyone, like to make a difference.
Because he wants to be above the board now. So he hands over the keys of the Batmobile to the Gotham PD to do the
I love
GTO?
how he's like, I should be sharing the tech. Maybe lives will be saved. And Gordon's like, yeah, but we understand why you didn't. You don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. This is pretty impressive tech.
Yeah.
I do like that, even though Batman was wrong to keep it all, arguably. But Gordon understood it. He's like, no, I'm on your side.
Even as the scene goes on, and Batman's saying all the reasons why maybe it's went too far, and he's done this damage to the city. He's like, yeah, but let's not forget all the good we've done with our partnership over the years.
He's saying it's like, yeah, okay, things went a bit wrong at the end, but Batman in concept is something.
Yeah. Here's what I really realised with this issue, is that my core problems with this book is entirely Napier. Because all the stuff from Batman's side, where he's going through the death of Alfred and reconnecting with Dick and Barbara, the action, the Batmobiles, the stuff with Gordon, I like all that stuff. It's the Napier stuff that I don't like.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't think we'll have it as the main focus in the next book, but it's definitely coming back up because they're seeding.
Oh sure, yeah.
I feel whatever they do next is he's gonna have a Hannibal Lecter like type, because you don't give him that cush cell and whatnot, and not have Batman come and pick his brain.
Yeah.
And I want to see that version.
I can see this as like a trilogy of books with the Napier coming back around full circle for the third one to be in the main focus. But we have something else in the middle.
Let's not forget the fact that him and Harley tried to get married quickly before he turns out a Joker, and he turns into Joker to say I do.
I love the sequence of, she says I do, and they say, do you Jack Napier, yada, 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 and you can see the eyes go. And you're like, oh, as soon as you see the eyes, he's like, I know where this is going, because he goes a bit pale, and then he starts coughing, and then you just get that horrifying, I do, genuinely horrifying.
I feel they wanted to turn this into, DC's Ultimate Universe, and we could get, what Superman in this universe is like, or Green Lanterns or Flash or whatever. I think that'd be cool.
Let Murphy do whatever he wants in this universe. I'll read it.
Yeah, because I feel like the next one you have to bring in Catwoman, because she wasn't anywhere in this.
No, that's true.
So I would like to see that. We've kind of had a fill of villains, so maybe like Roz coming in and upsetting this new balance of Bruce Wayne's Gotham City.
Do we get the next step of, okay, now that he's gone public, do we get, okay, well, we can train the new generation a bit more,
Yep.
By the books, and that's how we get a Tim, perhaps.
Yeah. Yep. Because we have the Duke stuff there, and I like with that payoff where, yeah, they destroyed the library, but now the cops trust that section of town, and
Yeah,
you know,
I
and
really
they
like how
trust
it's
the
like,
cops.
it was like, yeah, we kind of knew Napier wasn't entirely above the board because
Yeah.
we all suspected because he was the Joker, we're
But
not
he was
idiots.
changing things,
But
and we
he,
had
he was willing to try, so they overlooked it.
right. So I like what it sets going forward, and it builds this really, I think, really lush world. Even though it was only 8 issues, I like this version of Gotham. Like it
Yeah, me
feels
too.
like a place, and I hate that. Oh, it feels like a character all its own because that gets used for so many other things, but it does here. Like from the tunnels and the gigantic, ice laser and whatnot.
I think
like,
I have something that I don't often get is I get a really good sense of the geography of Gotham in this
Yeah.
book, and sometimes I feel like I don't. It's like I know certain areas of Gotham, but
the Narrows.
I often don't see how they connect. Whereas in this book, I can kind of see the layout a bit clearer.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I want more of it. I really enjoyed this issue. There's some things I didn't like the Harley reveal that much. I mean, I like the spirit of it, but not so much.
I like the reveal.
That
I
was
agree that
executed.
it should have been seeded a bit better, but I actually like what it's doing.
Yep, me too. Because she saw the good in both of them, and that they, maybe if they'd worked together instead of Batman just fighting him at all fronts, none of this could have happened. But then Napier's entire plan of let's weaponize villains to get what we want, that wasn't a good idea either.
In a way, it's kind of like politics is at its best when there's a left and a right, right? When everyone moves to the center, it kind of homogenizes and it's weird. But here, when you have an opposing force, it's like, okay, it's the clash that brings out the best of things, and that's kind of what Harley's saying here. Is like you kind of need each other to clash to get.
Well, see, and
the best
at
of
that,
you.
I would feel like they need to meet in the middle. I don't feel like
Yeah.
being in the middle is the problem. I feel like they were two on opposite sides, and there was no balance there. And you bring them more towards the middle, and that's where they meet, and that's where they were able to come together and save the day. So, but
Yeah.
I thought Jack was a goner in that explosion with the tumbler.
Yes, quite the dramatic action sequence, really. It's all going down, and it's the Neo Joker's there. Is like, okay, who's getting away? And it does look like it's going to go down the sacrifice route, and then it's kind of a surprise that it doesn't. Which again, I think it's because okay, there are future stories waiting to be told.
And that's what I feel. I feel like they told him, "Hey, you want to do another one of these?" He's like, "Okay, I won't kill the Joker. We'll just add an explosion, but he'll be okay."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It's not the strongest. I talk about how sometimes people can't end things very well, and I felt it was a little bit messy towards the end, but I want more.
As an 8-issue
Not messy.
series, I loved it.
Yep.
I really do. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not even close to love. I
I
liked it.
can't wait to get the hardcover.
I liked it.
Yep.
I like parts of the Batman stuff with Alfred, Babs, and Dick. I like the action. Anytime there was car chases, and the first half of this issue is a lot of car chasing with lots of Batmobiles. That stuff is fun as shit. But when it comes to the Napier stuff, when it comes to being a bit of a politician, and even just the idea of Joker and Jack being like a Jekyll and Hyde thing, I'm in various levels of meh to flat out disliking some of that stuff. So I'm all for more. But I'm not super jazzed about it. It's fine. Not as good as Detective this week, I'll say that for sure.
You're biased.
How is he not biased?
Who, me?
Yeah, you're always biased.
What am I biased about now?
You're biased. You like Murphy a lot.
That's
Oh, jeez. All right, so we got to wrap up because we've been doing this a long time.
We have. It's been a long episode. I blame Matt more than anyone.
Oh, yeah, but duh. I need to be leashed. You let me off the leash, that's what happens. You chase me around the park.
Well, It's in Connor's hands now because it's time for Connor's Corner. We're getting 4 of these this month. We're getting Connor doing an issue of Red Hood and the Outlaws. This is number 18. Scot, Lobdell and Sergio Sandoval on the art. Connor is doing this because it's a tier on Patreon where someone gets to pay and make him read a book they want. Someone bought up all 4 slots for the month of May, so this is the first of 4. So you're getting this weekly, starting this week. So, without further ado, Connor, Red Hood.
I'm going to start by saying it really hurts that I have to read this and there's not even any Dexter Soy to back me up. Like, yeah, Sandoval's fine. It's not like it's bad art, but it's not like, oh, this is some exciting good art that I really want to look at. You know what I mean? At least with Dexter Soy, I can just ignore all the words and at least still get something out of it.
I'm doing my violin. I'm doing my violin.
Yeah, whatever. But this issue's kind of a mess. Like it doesn't really know what it's doing. Like, because at least some of the last few issues have been quite focused on what their topic was. You know, we had like the Suicide Squad one, right? We had the one in the Batcave. Like they've all had a thing. This one is the start of Bizarro's regression, and part of that I like because it's okay. I'm going to get Bizarro back because that was always the best part. And you remember the little puppet dolls that he has? You know, he's the little Superman puppet. Mm-hmm. And that is basically in his head is an imaginary version of that has come to life and is talking to him and is representing him being Bizarro instead of this new whatever he is.
Intellectual beast Bizarro. Hank McCoy Bizarro.
Yeah, and that's pretty fun. You have some like slips in his narration, like, you know, it starts with, you know, it's like, you know, she am Artemis, and he's like, nope, strike that, she is Artemis. So, you know, correct, like catching himself. So it's like, okay, we're getting there. But it gets to the end of the issue. I'm going to jump just to the Bizarro plot specifically here. I guess the end is like, oh, I've been using them. All this stuff that we were doing with the Suicide Squad, yeah, whatever. They're all stupid. They're overlooking it. They think I'm regressing, but you know, I'm not really. I know what I'm doing. He's got all this synthetic kryptonite, and he's like, no, I'm not getting worse. I'm gonna be fine. And it's like mad genius stuff. I'm like, okay, can't we just have him regress already, please?
Yeah, but doesn't kryptonite?
Whoa, jeez, Matt, Mike. Oh.
Okay, did the volume go up, or was it just Ultroning?
Ultroning.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, okay, doesn't kryptonite though have the reverse effect? That's why there's blue kryptonite. So wouldn't the more kryptonite make him smarter?
Yeah, but synthetic kryptonite.
Yeah, no, just say yeah, but Scot Lobdell.
No, it's the Superman 3 where they try to synthesize kryptonite, but it ends up having the effect of red kryptonite because they get it slightly wrong.
Yeah. But, you know, I think that's the point. He's trying to use it to keep himself smart and, you know, to keep this as a thing that he can do. And it's amusing at points where you do have the little Superman doll literally being like the angel or devil on his shoulder, you know, talking to him in the middle of a scene and him, you know, trying to ignore it. And, you know, that stuff's all right. But, you know, the point of the issue is, so we have a bunch of stuff at the start with Queen Bee and Hive that's just kind of brushed over really quickly because Red Hood, he got his taser and his bat got upgraded and it just takes them all out. So that's dealt with. It's not a threat. But Queen Bee's like, oh, but before I leave, it's like, oh, I'm going, you know, there's something in your subconscious. It's buried in there deep. You know that you can't accept the truth. Yeah, but and before she can tell him what it is, Bizarro just jumps down and takes her out. So it's like, great, we have a mystery. That's going to be fun. But, yeah, but Bizarro's trying to recruit new people for the team without telling them. He recruits the Creeper, and he sets up a meeting with the Creeper, and they're all there and fighting. It's like, and Bizarro's like, why are you fighting? This is a new team member. Yeah, and they're like, you didn't tell us about this. He's not a team member. We're a team. We've got to go through this together. Like, you know, like Jason didn't just put them all together anyway. Pick the name, because it's like, oh, that was the name of my last team. How about we just keep using that? But
does he actually announce them as Red Hood and the Outlaws, or did he just say we're the Outlaws?
I think he just says we're the Outlaws.
Okay, that makes more sense. That'd be very vain.
It does.
We're Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Well, I will concede. I'll give him that. That's just the it's no different to your Batgirl and the Birds of Prey.
Because it'd be like he's a fan of Josie and the Pussycat, so he wanted to mimic that naming scheme.
No, it's true. They don't do that in the Birds of Prey, right? They don't
no, of course not. No,
Birds of Prey.
No, just the Birds of Prey. Yes,
exactly. It's the same here in the book. To be fair to it, but my point was he clearly came up with the name because he was like, "Well, I used that with my old team, so why not?" Right? And, yeah, it's just a mess of them going through this fight with the Creeper just to have an action sequence, basically, of like which ultimately comes down to nothing. The Creeper's like, "All right, fine, I'm out of here." That's the end of it. It's like I don't know what this accomplishes other than showing me some of the regression, but it's just it really felt like it was a bit of a mess, and it sucks to see Dexter Soy not on it, specifically because it's in the middle of an arc as well. Whenever he's missed it before, he's missed the fill-in issues, like in between arcs, or even whole shorter arcs. But he's never. I don't recall him ever having been taken off in the middle of an arc.
Maybe Red is just finding new ways to disappoint you.
Yeah. I will go for more of the little Superman doll though. That bizarre called Pup.
Well, maybe you'll get more of that. It won't be too long till you find out though, because you'll be reading the next one next week.
Oh, I will. I'm nearly at the end of this arc because this is part 5.
At least you get, like you're getting it over with quick.
I mean, technically yes, but then on the opposite side, I have to read this every week for a month.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be Mr. Brightside for you.
Here's a question. If they cancel Red Hood, what will David make him read?
Oh, I'm sure I'll find something.
And Damage. The Immortal Man.
Nah, you'll have to go back and read Wonder Woman from when I left off.
Oh, God.
Don't do that. Don't. I don't want to talk about those again. No.
Or... I don't know. See, I don't think he'd want to keep him on Bendis' Superman because, like, we're talking about that anyway. He'd want something that's not been talked about.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Suicide Squad maybe or something like that.
Just not Damage, not Brimstone, not those shite.
Or maybe just something from the past of Scott Lobdell's library.
Don't do. Oh man, I'm not being because they say there's two kinds of evil. There's the evil that evil men do, and then there's the evil that's allowed by good men doing nothing. And I can't participate in that. So don't give him any old Lobdell.
Ongoing Lobdell is one thing. I'm just grateful we're down to one Lobdell book a month.
Oh
not
no,
the
yeah, absolutely.
6 that it was at one point.
Oh, absolutely. No, I can't deny that.
But they're trying to make Doomsday a thing. Like there was a Doomsday book.
Yeah.
Matt wants us to wrap up, but he's the one who stopped me from moving on to the final bit.
No, I know, but I want to throw that out there. Like that's anyways. Best ofs.
Best ofs, yes. We're taking on now to the final part of the show in which we pick our favourite panel/moment, our favourite art of the week, our favourite cover of the week, and our top 5 books. So, we will start with panel/moment. Alright, yes, this is the Batgirls, alright? What do you want from me? You know I'm picking it, so I'm picking it. The Batgirls from Detective Comics. Matt, what's yours?
So mine's from No Justice, but I have 3 to choose from. And I don't know where Connor's going to go.
I've got one from No Justice. Do you want me to jump in first in case it's one?
Yeah, you go in first, and then I can, if it's one of mine, I can change it.
Mine is that first double page of the Green Lanterns at the source wall, because that was the moment where I went, I'm in for this book.
Yeah. So my 3, there wasn't one of that one. That was really good, but there was Starfire and Sinestro. I love how that's paired off.
Yeah, that's good.
And then there's Superman just showing up and popping Brainiac, just like out of nowhere. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
But I think what it's going to be, and it's not a Matt pick whatsoever, but it is like Super Manapul. It's when the villains show up and they have that single page spread, and it looks like a poster, and you got Starro in the back and Lex with that smug look on his face.
Yeah, Etrigan crouched at the front.
Yeah, it's such a Manapul. So I think that's going to have to be it.
No, that's good. Best cover of the week, Connor.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm going for the Flash variant.
Yeah, honestly, that's the easy choice, I think.
That is, I know like the detective main cover is pretty good because you got the bat shadows.
Yeah, you got Steph and Cass and their shadows have got cowls on, so that's a really cool design. But
it is, but that Francesco Mattina cover for Flash is just gorgeous.
I'm pretty sure he's just going to win every cover every time he's doing one because they're all fantastic.
I'm not a fan of that one. I guess I'm weird. It's alright.
Yeah, okay. Alright, Matt, you be weird. What was your favourite cover of the week?
That's fine. So mine's the variant from White Knight, which I usually try not to go with Harley and Joker, but this cover is just, again, we talk about this could be a print, and I would probably buy it and hang it up. It looks great. It looks like a pinup style.
Oh, yeah, it does. And you got all the little bits in the background as well to just give it that flavour.
Yep.
Cool. Best art of the week. Now I wonder where this will go this time.
This is tough. Because I have 3 options. So
yeah, Matt.
Oh, you're gonna make me go first. So, it's White Knight, so that's usually he's in the running.
Yeah.
But then you got Scott Kolins, and he is the Flash artist. But then
Clark's making a face. He's like, "Why is she in the running with all two?"
No, I like the art in that. I don't think it's quite as good. I wasn't making a face.
But see that's from that's my nostalgia coming into play. But then there's Manapul, and Manapul's my favorite working artist right now. So I have to get Francis Manapul for No Justice.
This is a really strong week for art because I would agree with all the ones you just said. I would also add on Peeples for New Superman and Rocafort for Sideways. This is a really strong week for art.
It is, yeah.
Really, really strong week. But I think I'm going to have to go with No Justice for Manapul. I think I was impressed. I think having a different colorist really made it pop in a way that I'm not usually used to expecting it to. So that's probably because he's doing 4 issues back to back, and even though he got a head start, he probably still needed some help. So
yeah,
and that's fine because again, if it can make it feel different, then it's okay. I can deal with someone else coloring it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Manapul. Connor.
No, I said to Peter at the start of the week once I've read just that. Basically, I was like, I'll be shocked if anything else takes it. Murphy was the only one with a shot, frankly, with just how good Manapul's art was. But and as good as Murphy's is, and I almost want to give it to him because it's the last one I'm getting for a while, and I've got 3 more weeks of Manapul, but it takes Manapul.
Yeah,
it just is.
Yeah, but the 4th Manapul's up against Gary Frank and Doomsday Clock, so we'll see how that goes.
That's going to be a really fun showdown, isn't it?
You're going to have to get your Superman on your shoulder like Bizarro. You call him Pop Pop?
Pop Pop. Was it Pop Pop or Pop Pop?
Pop Pop.
Pop Pop. I got Puppet.
Yeah. Alright, so top 5 books of the week. That is what we're on to. Connor!
Okay, number 1 is No Justice. 2 is The Flash. 3 is Hal and Pals. 4 is White Knight, and 5 is Detective.
Matt.
Man, I thought we were going to go because you hit the first 2. I was like, crap, we're going to line up again. I hate lining up. But we didn't. But number 1 is No Justice. Number 2 is Flash. Number 3 is White Knight. Number 4 is Tech. And number 5 is Hal and Pals. So, same ones, just different order.
Yeah.
My number 1 is also No Justice. My number 2 is probably still Flash. Number 3 is Detective. Number 4 is New Superman. And number 5 is Sideways. I'm going with Sideways. So there you go. A little bit different. So there you go. That's the show. That's episode 103. It's been a long one. All those news items added up, and then these.
Funny because it's kind of a short week in terms of.
It is. It's not the book's fault this week. I mean, sure, No Justice was a slightly longer discussion, but not enough to inflate it that much. This was purely down to rage about a certain website for about 30 minutes that kind of extended us upon the normal time.
No, it was worth it.
So that is the episode. That is 103. A couple of things I need to announce though before we go. There's a couple of new things on Patreon that are worth mentioning. One of which I think I mentioned briefly last week. Now it's got an official name though. It's called Peter's Pillbox, and it's basically me working through a bunch of series, and it's an audio-only show where I will talk about the issue, sort of recap it, sort of through the scenes, and then sort of give my thoughts as I go, that kind of thing. I'm doing 3 different books a week. One of them will be free for everyone, but it is exclusive for a month early access to patrons at the $1 tier. The second series is in the $3 tier, that's exclusive, and then the third series, if you want all 3, is in the $5 tier. If you're already in the $5 tier, you're getting the monthly episode, you're getting all those anyway.
At the moment, which books are each of those series, so they know which, if they really want one of those books, which one do they go for?
That's a fair point. The one that is early in the $1 tier is the New Teen Titans, which I just did issue 2 of. And then the $3 tier is my Silver Age slot. I started off with Silver Age Green Lantern. That'll be sort of jumping around the Silver Age books, sort of between trades, if you will. And then the one that's in the $5 tier is Mark Waid's Flash, which I just started this week as well. So that's some extra comics content on the Patreon for fans of that stuff.
Some, the $3 tier is brand new entirely, and there's some other content in that as well, which are interesting other things that we do.
For some movie and TV stuff, because obviously we do, me and Tim do horror movie shows, me and Matt do new movies, me and Connor do old movies, and there's all the TV reviews, a bunch of other stuff you can go check. If you go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/mailfuzztv, you get a list of all the different things we do. Also worth mentioning, this was a sort of quiet one that I slipped in, but there is now a Peter version of Connor's Corner available to anyone who may or may not want to punish me as well. And there's also a combo one. There's one slot available where you can get both for $50 instead of each one separately for $30. Should you want to punish both of us at the same time?
Make him read Red Hood.
Oh, don't you dare! What's the fun of that? You're already reading it. You're already talking about it.
Well, you can just suffer. You can jump in where I am and suffer with me.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no! People, spend your money in better things. Spend your money in better things. Have me read something good.
Why would they do that? That's not punishment.
The punishment for the crime.
Hey, no. If they make me read something good, that's punishing you.
I mean, sure, if you want to look at it that way.
Punish Connor doubly by making me read something good. And I guess we're wrapping up there. That's just
what's coming next week.
Just what's coming next week, of course. Yeah, as always. So what is coming next week? We have, of course, No Justice number 2. We have Batman 47. That's the final part of this future storyline. We have the Superman Special number 1. That's the final Tomasi Gleason story. We have Green Lanterns 47. We have Aquaman 36. We have Batwoman 15. We have Brave and the Bold, Batman and Wonder Woman number 4. And we have New Challengers number 1. Also out next week that we will not be covering is Damage number 5. And also, I believe, Harley Quinn, Harley Loves Joker number 1. I think that's next week too.
Number 2 next week.
Is it number 2? Sorry. That's my copy and pasting and not updating the number, biting me. But yeah. So there you go.
But it's 2 of 2, so it'll be done.
Yeah, 2 of 2. Yeah, so it's finishing off the backup story that he was working on before. So that's what's coming next week, and that is the show. So this has been a pretty epic length one, but hopefully you had fun and enjoyed it. And we will see you next time. So do like and subscribe, and let us know what you thought of the books, all the usual stuff. Guys on the Twitters at DC Comics Podcast, and you can find us individually. You can get me at Wibble89 on the Twitters, Connor's at ConnorRyan94, Matt is at Matt of Steel57. I said them all myself for speed because I could remember them all, and sometimes Connor struggles, so it's actually quicker by me doing it.
It's rare I have to think about it. It's usually just on the screen in front of me when we do all the TV.
It's his name and his year of birth. It doesn't take that much, Connor.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yeah, but sometimes someone will go, "How old are you?" and I have to think about it. I have to work it out.
Too. I've been 30 for 4 years now, so it's fine. I was 30 before I was 30, just was easier math.
Yeah, so someone goes, "How old are you?" I go, just give me a second.
Yeah.
That's us, guys. Thank you very much once again for watching, listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading comic books, and always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
Go Knights.